Video by the officer himself. No comment on it from Minnesota officials. CBS's Usher Qureshi in Minneapolis with more on the video, which some may find disturbing.
Vice President J.D. Vance reposted video from another angle. CBS News independently obtained the cell phone video taken by the ICE officer who shot Renee Good.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
That's Good inside the SUV and her wife outside the vehicle talking to the ICE officer before the shooting.
I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Another officer orders Good out of the SUV and she starts to drive.
Out of the car.
Earlier Friday, Mayor Jacob Frey criticized the Trump administration's decision to remove state authorities from the shooting investigation.
Officials in Portland, Oregon say that Border Patrol agents shot a man and a woman during a traffic stop yesterday. Their conditions still unknown. CBS's Gwen Baumgardner in Portland.
The Department of Homeland Security says it was conducting a targeted vehicle stop involving two suspected Venezuelan members of the Tren de Aragua gang who recently entered the U.S. illegally. In a statement on X this morning, DHS officials identified the pair, adding they, quote, weaponized their vehicle against Border Patrol. The agent took immediate action to defend himself and others, shooting them.
The FBI is investigating. President Trump meeting with top American oil company executives at the White House today assures them that their companies will be safe if they return to Venezuela.
Now they seem to be an ally, and I think it'll continue to be an ally, and we don't want to have Russia there. We don't want to have China there. And by the way, we don't want Russia or China going to Greenland, which if we don't take Greenland, you're going to have Russia or China as your next door neighbor. That's not going to happen.
And the president says the U.S. will deal with Greenland the easy way or the hard way. CBS's Jim Krasulo with updated figures on measles outbreaks.
State health officials have confirmed nearly 100 more measles cases in the Spartanburg, South Carolina area. The outbreak has now grown to more than 300 confirmed cases. It's one of the biggest measles outbreaks in the country, along with one along the Utah-Arizona border.
President Trump has taken steps to address the issue of affordability in the housing sector. Bill Pulte, who heads the Federal Housing Finance Agency, says that includes banning institutions from buying private homes and...
We are looking at everything and anything that can bring down the cost of homes. That includes portable mortgages. I will tell you, though, that the president has the list of things that he's looking at doing, and he'll decide whether or not we do that.
This is...
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Coming up, a school bus crash lands 11 students in the hospital. But first, we have Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All right, Aaron, finally good news down there in Auburn. We're all clear southbound 167 at the off-ramp to eastbound 18, where we had a rolled-over semi blocking for a few hours. The Valley Freeway itself getting heavy south of Highway 18 into Sumner. Renton to Puyallup is a 40-minute drive. Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes. Just minimal backups to JBLM and again between Lacey and Olympia. We've got a crash north 5 in Fife, just past 54th, blocking 2 right lanes. Southbound 405 is packed from Southeast 8th and Bellevue to Coal Creek. Bellevue to Renton closing in on a half hour. That road work at Montlake Boulevard has cleared, so the off-ramp from eastbound 520 has reopened. South 5 into Seattle, you're slow from Northgate into downtown. Everywhere else is looking pretty good. We do have a 90-minute wait for drivers, though, at the Mukilteo Terminal. KIRO Newsradio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO Newsradio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo. 11 elementary school students were taken to the hospital this morning after a crash involving their school bus and a sedan near Parkland. KIRO 7 TV's Madeline Audley is at that scene.
We can see some debris. It's not entirely clear to us at this time if this is from this crash, but certainly a lot of glass that's spread around. What we know so far is that 32 kids in the Franklin Pierce School District were heading to Collins Elementary School. The bus had a green light at this intersection, but a man in a sedan ran the light. According to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office, he was at fault here. The bus driver hit the brakes hard. It caused all 32 kids to fly forward, hit their head and their necks onto those seats in front of them.
Children have varying degrees of injuries, most of them minor. You can see video of that collision at mynorthwest.com. A former Expedia employee will spend 4 years in prison for planting hidden cameras in office bathrooms and his ex-wife's home. 44-year-old Marcelo Vargas Fernandez pleaded guilty to 14 counts of voyeurism. Seattle police found those cameras under sinks in bathrooms at Expedia's Interbay campus 2 years ago. State legislature said it plans no hearings this upcoming session on 2 initiatives that would impact schools and families. Measures are backed by the political action committee Let's Go Washington, which was founded by Brian Haywood.
It's sort of the arrogance of power when you've been in control for 40 years that you don't need to listen to what people do.
One initiative would restore parts of a parental rights bill. The other aims to ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' sports. Those initiatives could still go before voters. No game for the NFC West champion Seahawks this wildcard weekend, but they are still having some fun and games at the expense of a popular rookie.
Eamon is having himself a game.
Defensive safety Nick Eamon was one of about 30 Seahawks who dined at an upscale steakhouse for an annual dinner in which a rookie's expected to cover the bill.
Yeah! Dang!
And what a bill it was. Eamon handed the more than $114,000 check. I dead thought it was real, the 21-year-old from South Carolina told the Seattle Times. Then they brought out the real bill, which was about 80% less than that. Heather Bosch, KIRO News Radio.
Now to your weather updates. We are drying out this afternoon, sun breaks and partly cloudy skies, rain later tomorrow. Right now, 52 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome to the John Curley Show. Once again, no John Curley. Today, you get the rare and I think terrific pairing of Mike Lewis and Mandy Bossard. Mandy, how are you doing?
I'm doing so well. How are you doing?
It has been a while since we worked together, probably just a few months, right?
Yeah, but they're bringing back the dream team.
They're bringing back the dream team. Nice to be in and nice to be talking to you folks today. Before I get into the news, I wanted to give one quick shout out to Columbia distribution driver, a guy named Sonny. He's a KIRO listener. Sonny stopped what he was doing and helped me load up a dead bottle cooler in the back of my truck, which I was struggling with. It's a big piece of equipment. And I got to say, one, he's a regular listener, so he loves KIRO Radio. But on top of that, somebody who stops what they're doing, and he's unloading all kinds of heavy stuff out of his truck and comes over to help me. You know, Sonny, thank you much. That gives me faith in both faith in not having a back injury, but mainly faith in society. So, Sonny, thank you much. All right, now on to the news.
Wait, did he spot that you were? Was he like, oh, Mike Lewis?
So he did know. He did know, actually, and he's a regular John Curley listener. I mean, so the funny thing is, as an aside, the funny thing is delivery drivers are the people who most often will bring up, KIRO with me. We get deliveries to the bar, and so they will always – here's a weird split. Actually, probably maybe not all that weird. If it's a delivery driver, they will bring up, oh, you're the guy I've heard on KIRO Radio, which always they're always really super friendly, and they love the station. And they're listening to it all day long, as they're driving around Seattle or idling around Seattle, as the case may be, given traffic. But some of my old colleagues in newspaper don't hear me as often. Some of them listen to KIRO, some of them don't. But if I'm on NPR, all of the old colleagues at the newspaper bring up the fact that and none of the delivery drivers do.
Yeah, I missed the NPR bit.
Yeah, very funny, right? So, anyway, now on to the news. We're starting off with a kind of an interesting story about dealing with what we always refer to as the long dark here in Seattle. I think anyone who lives at this parallel or north, you have the benefit of I moved here in February 2020. I'm sorry. I moved here in June 2020. First interview for a job here, February 2020. And when I got here, and I had an apartment with a pretty decent view, a lot of windows, pretty decent view of Lake Union. And I was stunned at the amount of sunlight. I had a hard time sleeping for a while because it wasn't getting dark till 10, right? Yeah. And the room just got flooded with light. And I thought, man, this place is amazing. And then
what's everyone complaining about?
What's everyone complaining about? I found out. And the funny thing is, the rain has never bothered me much, nor the cold. But the dark, I think, gets to me a little more, especially if you have a job, and you folks who have office jobs, who go in at dark and you don't get back out of the building until dark. And that starts messing with your rhythm. It's hard to actually get motivated and I mean, how do you deal with it? Because we've got a story about some suggestions on how to deal with it.
Well, I tell friends, because I'll have friends visit me in the summer, and they're like, oh, my God, I think I want to move here. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, book a trip in February. Flights will be cheap, I promise.
Exactly.
Come back, because every year I'll put all the self-care tools in place. I'll be ready. I'll be coasting through December. I'm like, wait, winter's a breeze.
This is easy.
And then January hits.
And then you turn the corner.
It's the gray.
And it mugs you every year. Yeah.
There's nothing to look forward to.
And there's been studies that say seasonal affective disorder is not a real thing. There's been, I'm sure, counter studies that say that it is. I do know, though, that it's just a little, especially someone who does a lot of cycling, a lot of motorcycling. I don't like the lack of visibility anyway.
Oh, yeah.
At night since I'm commuting a lot on my bicycle or on my motorcycle, so that's a little bit of a downside. But generally speaking, I think some years I have a better run of it than others. And so what you do when you don't know enough about how to cope with the dark is you call experts in Sweden and Finland and Norway who deal with this stuff for extended periods of time. And what they say is that there's circadian rhythm issues. Like your body clock gets thrown off when it's dark all the time. The same thing that happens when you get jet lag. And they say, so like getting the alarm clock that does the dawn simulator, it creates light in your room. There's sort of a glow that increases, and that kind of gets you back into your rhythm, even if that's not happening outside. Keeping all of your appointments with your friends, like trying to do all of the same routine, and that will help you fight if you do get sort of depressed or demotivated or lethargic.
Don't become a hermit.
Don't become a hermit.
And you've got to resist it.
You've got to resist it. I mean, because there's no other way, and there's things about it that I don't mind so much. Certainly, I probably sleep a little later in the morning, which is I should probably do more often. So that's good. But generally speaking, it's what I didn't expect when I moved here was the dark bothering me more than I thought because I grew up in California, and I had summer for 6 months of the year, and I don't miss that so much. I do miss and I do miss the long days when I travel back down there, especially in summer. I love the fact when it stays light late. I don't much care for the dark though. In winter, I start getting mopey about the days getting shorter, like in May.
Yeah.
Because I already feel it like coming, like the solstice is coming, and I'm already moping about it come May.
I was in LA for a decade, and the heat got to me. I couldn't do the heat. And I moved back in August of 2020, and the novelty of winter that first time, I was just like, oh wait, this is lovely. I'm going to coast through winters. This will be so easy. And then it was like the next one.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Do you guys know who Dustin Nickerson is? He's a comedian that's based out of Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
No.
He looks like Gary
Yeah,
Ridgway.
you would probably know who he is, right?
So it's kind of related to our next story, but when Damon Williams decided he was going to go to a different school, leave UW, he tweeted, listen, he's clearly not the first person living in Seattle in January who decided he needed to be someplace else.
Excellent. That's perfect segue, because that's what we're going to talk. It turns out, if you've been reading about Damon Williams Jr., starting quarterback for the Huskies now, who then entered the transfer portal to the surprise of the coaching staff and the school itself, which then threatened to potentially bring legal action. They've kissed and made up, and they've decided that he is staying. I think that this is the thing I like about it is he's not only is he, I root for the UW. I don't go to the UW, but I'm in Washington. I like seeing my friends happy with that kind of stuff. This nice thing is he immediately copped to making a mistake. He probably was getting, a whisper campaign to get him somewhere else that was going to get him more money in the short term. You never know in football when you're going to get an injury that is going to end your career.
Yeah.
And so I understand being nervous about that and wanting to cash out as much as you can, as quick as you can. However, and you also don't know where you're going to end up in the draft, how good of a season you're going to have, all that kind of stuff.
What is he, 19?
Exactly. The thing I liked about this is that he admitted he made a mistake. 19. Who among us? Who among us did not make bigger mistakes than going for a different job for more money when you're 19 years old, right? After you've promised something else.
Oh my God. $1 raise and I would have ditched a contract.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm happy for the UW. I'm happy for Damon. I think that it's a smart move to stay. I think it shows that you can recalibrate. Even at 19, you can learn a big lesson, and I hope people don't give him too much grief about it. I think that he is back. It's great. And this is weirdly one of those, I'm still not against the name, image, likeness changes and the fact that athletes now can get paid. I'm a big fan of that, actually, but I do understand it makes it a little bit disruptive. But on that same note, some people are still unhappy about all of this, and that would be Representative Adam Smith from Washington. He went on KIRO Radio and decided to explain what he thinks the NC2A should do regarding what he called the chaos in college football.
Major problem. It's also disrupted college football. And yes, there is the SCORE Act, which would be a way to give NCAA greater power to regulate all of this stuff, which I think is fine, but we have to make sure that we do it in a way that doesn't just empower the most powerful conferences, most powerful teams. I want to support all sports, not just the major college football programs. So that's the big challenge right now. But yes, I think Congress should act to bring some semblance of order to the chaos that is college sports, because it doesn't just affect the sports that we watch on TV. It affects, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of athletes playing tennis, volleyball, all manner of other things, which are really important for young people having those opportunities in college.
So I think that he raises some very good points. And I'm curious if we would be able to find this quote from Representative Smith. 2022, when Michael Penix Jr. transferred to Washington from Indiana. Because I couldn't find it. I went looking for it. That chaos existed then. It's really more chaotic when we lose a good player.
Now it's a big issue.
Then we gain a good player. It seems to me like that's when the chaos really happens around here.
Well, and I think you just bring up an excellent point. When these guys, how do you plan around an injury? You're 19. You don't know how long your career is going to be. I've been watching Hard Knocks with my boyfriend. I'm not a sports person, but my boyfriend is.
But Hard Knocks is less about sports than about...
It's like a nature documentary.
Totally.
The
With
team
extra drama.
gathers on the field.
Exactly.
And I just think about these kids who are so young. As a 34-year-old, I look at the student loans that I took on with no concept of what that meant. And these guys signing these multi-million-dollar deals, and you don't know when some injury could knock you out. You could just be done.
Right. I'm actually, so what do you think about the idea? I mean, you've probably at least at a distance followed the changes in college sports. The college sports, it used to be that you signed with the school, and it was very difficult if things didn't work out for you at the school, either from an injury basis or they just got a better player for your position or whatever, or the coach decided he didn't like you or something along those lines.
And you couldn't get a free taco without getting in trouble.
And you couldn't do anything without, you couldn't sell your own jersey without getting in trouble, potentially suspended. And now it's flipped entirely, and they're independent contractors. Essentially, they can go there. They can enter something called the transfer portal, which sounds more sci-fi than it really is, and they can go to another school. Personally, I'm happy that they have agency. Before, the coaches could always do it. Everyone else could do it. If you were a computer science whiz, you could transfer schools every semester if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. But if you are a football player and some other athletes, it was very, very difficult to. It's the money sport athletes. Personally, I think that the Damon Williams story is an example of what is a little bit of what's wrong, but I also think it's kind of a story about what's right. I don't mind schools not having full control over the athletes. I don't mind the students having that time of year. I think that somebody had brought up, I think maybe Nick Saban, somebody brought up that the scheduling of when things happen is more the problem than that they happen. That you need to have more certainty going into a football season, knowing that no one can then bounce, because there is a window that you can enter, and that if they recalibrated all of that, they could make the system a lot more understandable for coaches and for the students. But I don't know. I mean, I know everyone's unhappy about this, but Joe, what do you think about the?
I'm definitely with you. I think that especially not being able to foresee injuries that could end a career, in your freshman year of college. I think yes, get the money, take it. It does have a salty aftertaste, though, with some of the with the athletes moving around, especially with the transfer portal. And I don't know what, if any, solution exists to that. But it takes a little bit of the long game out, especially if you're a fan, Right. But if you're an athlete, this is great. I mean, what could be better?
Yeah, I guess my feeling is that when you have the old system was so powerfully weighted on the schools and the coaches and the administrators. And it's a former coach of LSU who won a national championship. I don't remember the name of that particular coach, but he was on a radio show recently, and he said, really the difference now is that we used to bring in the money through the back door. Now we can walk into the front door with the money. And I thought and he and the host start cracking up because he's saying the unsaid thing. Like, it's not like people were not getting all kinds of favors and finding ways for alumni to shuffle money. And now they can actually do it publicly, and we've got some transparency on it. But on top of that, if I'll use Pete Carroll, one of my favorite coaches, loved him when he coached at SC. But the fact is that many years when he was there, the frequently reused comment was that the best team in college football is USC. The second best team in college football is USC's second string. And the problem is that they would load up on great players, and then they'd load up on their second string. And these are players who also maybe have aspirations for professional, but they're not getting a professional contract if they don't get on the field. Right. And they always tell you, you're the only person we want for starting wide receiver, and then they load up on some other talented kid somewhere else, and suddenly you're not getting on the field. But you then were obligated to that. Now, if there's a line, if you're in a deep line and you feel like another school is interested and you can actually get out on the field, I'm happy they can go.
Well, now, and it seems like now the real money is in selling your likeness, like getting in Fortnite.
If you can get that sort of money, and there are plenty of kids who are not as famous, who are still pulling down. I mean, a small amount would be $50 or $100K a year. That would have been miracle money if I were in college. Like, ooh, I can't even imagine that.
I was thinking about this last night. Maybe you can answer the question. But if you are an athlete like Damon Williams and you sign a 1-year deal for $4 million, do you still have academic requirements to meet, or is that out the window now?
Well, you have academic requirements. You have to be academically eligible.
Right.
However, that academic eligibility, if you are touted and informed correctly that you are a top pick in the draft or a top first round pick in the draft, you can't get thrown out of school immediately, but many times kids will stop attending college. Yeah. I mean, if they know that they're a lock, it's kind of silly. I mean, if they want an education, they should continue doing that. And if they want to, if they find that part of their life is fulfilling, but frequently, as soon as they get to that level of fame and that level of likelihood, my understanding is you don't even see them on campus anymore. You see them in the football. And remember, all of that stuff is happening in fall. If you're past your bowl game and you're going to be drafted, are you going to school that winter? Of course you're not. Winter quarters? No, of course you're not. You're done with all that.
If he's signed for $4 million for a year and he doesn't meet his academic requirements, does that mean his contract, is he not getting paid?
Well, if he gets dropped out of school or if he's no longer eligible to play, I bet I have zero doubts that there are writers because they need you to be a public figure. I mean, you're not really an influencer as an anonymous person, right? So my guess is that all of those contracts are airtight. And in fact, even trying to sign a new one, was threatened with legal action from the. I mean, it's interesting because this is all in real time. We're figuring out how this system is going to work because we don't know all the problems associated with it. We also don't know all the problems associated with the commute. Nate Connors?
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, North 5 in Fife at 54th. 2 right lanes are blocked. I thought this was a collision. Looks like, well, it kind of is, but it looks more like police pulled a pit maneuver on a driver. We've got a half a dozen police cars surrounding a car there. You're backed up to the south end of the Puyallup River Bridge, and then South 5, you've got that looky-loo backup that starts at State Route 18 to the seam. Tacoma to Olympia is up to 50 minutes. No surprises here. You've got some slowing in South Tacoma, a 3-mile thick backup there in JBLM, and then more backups between Lacey and Olympia. Seattle to Federal Way, a half hour. South 405, you're packed from Northeast 8th now to Cold Creek Parkway. Bellevue to Renton still taking right around a half hour. Both of our lake bridges look great, all clear. South 5 into Seattle, you're slow from Northgate into downtown. Linwood to Seattle, plan on 25 minutes. And otherwise, we're looking at light volumes on all the rest of our major roadways. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
After voters made it clear they want change.
That I will faithfully conduct myself as the mayor of the city of Seattle.
What should Seattle residents expect from Mayor Katie Wilson?
She talked a lot about our affordability crisis.
Northwest News voices you depend on.
It's a misdiagnosis of the problem. You believe government can solve this problem.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. The KIRO News Radio app with opinion and analysis at mynorthwest.com.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through January 25th. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home. Thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Hey, this is Pete from Home Matters, a show that covers everything having to do with your home. Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 on KIRO Newsradio, where you'll hear from local business owners who are experts in their industries. From foundation to flooring, roofing and windows, furniture, and financial planning, it's everything in and around your home, and we've got you covered on Home Matters. If it matters to you, it matters to us here at Home Matters. Saturdays from 2 to 3 right here on KIRO Newsradio, or listen to the podcast on mynorthwest.com.
For seniors, the new year is a good time to reassess finances. If you're struggling with bills, our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage says a reverse mortgage may be a great way to ease your stress.
Seniors tell me all the time, we love our home, we'd love to stay here, but we just can't afford it anymore. A reverse mortgage lets you tap your home equity for tax-free cash to pay off your mortgage, pay off your debts, and maybe put some extra money in the bank. You've worked hard for that home equity. Now let your home work for you. And best of all, you'll have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
And you always talk to a real person, not an AI robot.
That's right. You'll get a no-pressure consultation directly from me. Never a sales pitch and never an AI bot.
Honest advice you can trust from Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage experts, the VA loan and debt consolidation experts too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo. The Portland police chief now confirms those two people shot by federal agents in the city yesterday have ties to a Venezuelan gang. Chief Bob Day says they are affiliated with Tren de Aragua.
They do have some nexus to involvement with TDA.
We can confirm that.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey reports from Portland.
Homeland Security now says Luis Moncada and Yorlenes Zambrano Contreras tried to run over agents. One witness described hearing 5 gunshots. The Oregon Department of Justice says they have opened their own investigation and will prosecute if they find any agent used force beyond the reasonable scope of their duty. In Portland, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Police say those 2 suspects are in federal custody recovering from their injuries. Now to Minneapolis, where newly released cell phone video from an ICE agent shows the moments before that officer shot and killed a woman in her vehicle this week. CBS's Ashar Karashi reports.
It just goes to the heart of the issue here, which is that people are looking at these videos and how much space there was here and whether or not she was impeding these officers from taking care of the work that they needed to do, and whether or not they were justified in the use of force that was used.
A warning about potential measles exposure in King and Snohomish counties. 1 adult and 3 children visiting from South Carolina after Christmas got sick. They visited multiple locations in Marysville, Mukilteo, and Everett while they were contagious, but before their diagnosis. You can see a list of those locations at mynorthwest.com. They also flew in and out of SeaTac airports. Microsoft is responding to reports of mass layoffs with plans to cut up to 22,000 jobs this month. KIRO 7 TV's Lindsay Sheldon reports.
Microsoft now flatly denying those reports, saying they are 100% made up. This follows waves of layoffs in the tech industry. Back in July, we told you how Microsoft announced its largest round of layoffs since 2023, affecting 9,000 workers worldwide and more than 2,000 at their headquarters in Redmond.
And that takes us to 3:32. We head over to the real-time traffic desk with Nate Connors.
All right, Aaron, we've got some police activity in Fife this afternoon. North 5 at 54th. They're blocking 2 right lanes. Looks like they pulled a pit maneuver on a driver there, slamming that car up against the barrier. So it's a big distraction. You're backed up to the EQC in Fife right now, and South 5 drivers are slowing at the scene. They've got you backed up to State Route 18, and this South 5 backup has westbound 18 all jammed up now from Military Road over to I-5. Tacoma to Olympia, about 50 minutes. Over in South Hill, westbound 512 slows just starting past Meridian over to Canyon Road. Just volume here. Seattle to Federal Way looking pretty good this afternoon at a half hour. South 405 is looking quite typical. The backup from Northeast 8th to Coal Creek Parkway, Bellevue to Renton's a half-hour drive. Heading into Seattle from the north end, South 5 slows at Northgate into downtown. Linwood to Seattle's at 25 minutes. That drive to Everett from Seattle and Bellevue are pretty close to all clear, and we're looking at light volumes most everywhere else. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Dry for the rest of this afternoon. Dry to start tomorrow. Then some rain showers move in later Saturday nights, continuing into Sunday. Right now, 52 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Mike Lewis, Mandy Bossard here. There was a story out of Snohomish County that I'd like to think of as kind of casual genius. A high school student there at Snohomish High School, Elizabeth Bogan. She is a accomplished welder and is in the school's trade program as a welder. And she brought it up with school officials that, hey, you can get a letter in all kinds of things. Varsity sports, you can get it for theater, you can get it for all of this stuff, and academic as well. You can't get it for the trades. And so rather than send the kid back to the classroom and not worry about any of that, the school officials thought about it and said, you're right, and decided to make it the only high school in the state of Washington where you can get a varsity letter for skilled trades. I'm thrilled about this.
I love it. I love it, especially right now in this job market where we're seeing mass layoffs. We're seeing people where it's like, well, we're just talking about people have been out of work for years at this point where they just cannot find a replacement for what they were doing. And I love seeing trade work valued.
Completely, because it's been so devalued in so many schools over the course of, schools got very focused on being pathways to college. Good thing. I don't think that was necessarily a bad idea. But what they did was when resources became more and more limited, and they do become more limited in certain states depending on the tax structure, right? They started eliminating what they considered, elective courses. Mm-hmm. And elective courses were almost exclusively arts, some sliver of the humanities, and trades almost exclusively. The trade schools, the trade classes in school, the auto shop, wood shop, welding, or machine work, all of that stuff went away. And we didn't notice for a long time because a lot of people who are in the trades, maybe they're making good money, maybe they're in one of the local unions here in the Pacific Northwest, and they're doing a lot of building, but they have begun aging out without the replenishment at the bottom end.
Yeah.
And those people frequently came sometimes from the military where you can learn a trade, but sometimes straight from high school shop programs. I mean, so when you were in high school, Joe, was there a shop? Where did you go to high school?
In Southern California, and there was an auto shop. That was the only shop. When I was in junior high, they had metal shop, wood shop.
You had shop classes in junior high?
In junior high. That's the only time I ever went into a shop. And I loved them. And then high school, auto shop was the only one, which in retrospect, I wish I had taken because I don't know anything about cars.
Right.
But that was the only one. And I think shortly thereafter, that was eliminated too.
Mandy, how about you? Were there shop classes at which high school did you go to?
I went to Roosevelt.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking back. No, I can't.
You were probably around the era where things were getting cut like that were getting cut. Yeah.
Well, and my brother-in-law runs a power washing company. I promise I'm not going to do an ad. But he runs a power washing company, and then he strings lights during the holidays. And it's such a great business, and it's such a community aspect. Especially like older folks love talking to the power washing guy.
And also, I mean, we all know. I mean, I certainly know as a person who has had to call, experts in heating, HVAC people when a furnace goes out, either in the house or in a building, when you need someone who can do refrigeration work. I've been arguing for years that you should not be able to get a liquor license in your name in Washington State unless you're a journeyman plumber, because it is so important. And I'm not kidding. You have a business and you want a commercial plumber to show up. It's $500 to get them to cross the threshold. And I think they earn their money. This is not me complaining about prices. This is me complaining about availability, because there's just not there. I don't know that there's a trade that is feeling like it has a glut of employees. I mean, I always talk to Buddy, who's a business manager at the local. I'm trying to remember the HVAC Pipe Fitters Union, and he would say like they're always in recruiting, like they're constantly looking for people, and these jobs. Two things I will say to you: if we have any younger listeners out there or parents with who are trying to direct their kids in a career direction, think about what cannot be done by AI. And you know what? Your plumbing is not going to be done by AI in any time in the near future. I mean, we may have robot plumbers, 100 years from now. We're not going to, your kids are safe and the money is good. Like I know, if you know a commercial plumber, ask them.
Or electricians.
Or, construction can vary depending on if there's a construction boom or not, but certainly the people who do home remodeling and repairs, they don't seem to be lacking. If you call one, you're going to be booked out. They're booked out 2 years in advance.
They told everyone to go into coding, and how did that go?
Right, and now that is actually what's being taken away.
Yeah.
And so the interesting thing is like you can get into a gig that pays well and is likely to be around for at least the foreseeable future. Now, who knows? I mean, I am the one who famously predicted in the 1990s, no one needs a camera in their phone. And so I realized that I've got massive blind spots.
I said touch screens. Who wants them?
I said, I don't see a 24-hour sports network ever making it in America. Like, I literally have a long list of saying really dumb stuff. But I think that this one at least has some evidence right in front of me right now that there are people who should be, and I think should be, thinking about the trades, because that really is in some ways a better pathway for a lot of people. I would have, if my brother had not threatened to fire me to get me from not being, he wanted me to go to college, and he was right. I should have. I was a okay mechanic for him. I was pretty young. I didn't know everything that I needed to know, but he was like, look, pal, this becomes much harder work once you get 30 and 40 and 50. Like, you need to go away and go to school. And he was right about that. I'm forever grateful for it. But my pathway was working for him in his shop, or working with him in his shop. That's all I wanted to do, because I love the guy. But he made the right decision. And I was in an era where there was much more pressure and much more availability if you went to college. But now that is not happening. How many people know recent college graduates? In fact, text us in if you have any stories about this, 888-973-5476, who know recent college graduates who cannot find a job in their major. And these are not bad these are computer science majors. These are not people who got a degree in the humanities, or maybe like me, like political science or English or something like that. They've always been unemployed. I mean, that's what the service industry pulls from for white people. We need those people. But the fact
You're
is,
talking to a theater major.
Exactly, you've done these same jobs.
Barista,
exactly. So I mean, I think that this is. I am hopeful that I think Snohomish High School should be applauded for this. And I think that anybody else who has kids in any of their high school, talk to the administrators. This is the type of thing that reward. I mean, it was in my high school, it was pretty difficult to. I never did varsity letter. I didn't do varsity sports, but varsity sports were the only way you could get. And that's and having a letterman's jacket and letter was not super meaningful to me in high school, but it is meaningful to some people. And it is this like acknowledgement that you are doing something exceptional. And you can wear it around all day long as much as you want. And I think that that's kind of cool. And particularly, I'm pleased that there is a school, one, that Snohomish High School still has trades and has a welding class. And two, that they're actually willing to acknowledge it and reward students who decide to go down that path.
And Joe, I agree. I wish I'd taken an auto shop class. Especially anytime I go into the mechanic, I'm like, oh, no.
Just ripe for being ripped off. Yeah.
Well, and I've heard you can save so much money if you know how to change your own oil. Yeah. And there I am at Jiffy Lube.
We used to do.
Well, I would, so I know how to do all of that stuff, and I used to do it on my own for years. I still go to whatever, Oil Can Henry or whatever they are. I mean, whatever the name is now, Grease Monkey. I still go to those places because it's just much quicker. And like getting your car, either jacking it up or getting it, if you're not familiar with how to do that, I'd suggest not, and just have somebody else. And just all you have to do is walk in resistant to the upsell.
Yes,
and
upsell.
They upsell, and that's their job. And understand that that's just the world you've walked into. But I'm pretty comfortable in that environment, and even I don't necessarily always do my own oil changes. Every now and then, but not often.
Yeah, the convenience. And I'll say, I went to the Jiffy Lube on Greenwood, and they were like, oh, no, you can come back in a month. And I was like, I like that, and I will be back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So since we went straight to auto shop, and I guess we've got probably an expert. It's certainly a cars expert, if not an auto shop expert. Nate Connors in the real-time traffic desk.
Yeah, expert. I'm not used to hearing that one. Thank you, Mike.
You'll be hearing it the rest of the day.
All right.
So tell us what's going on.
All right, your KIRO Newsradio app has this update. So in Fife, North 5 at 54th, now the right lane is blocked as opposed to 2 lanes. So we opened up a lane for you. This is where police pulled a pit maneuver on a car. So it's a big distraction for you. You're backed up to the Tacoma Dome, but hopefully this one lane opening is really going to help to alleviate this pressure. Tacoma to Federal Way right now is a 35-minute commute. That's double the norm. South 5, your stop and go from State Route 18 to our police scene. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway, a 40-minute commute. South 405 is heavy from Northeast 8th to Cold Creek Parkway. Then it loosens up pretty quickly. Bellevue to Renton's at a half hour. South 5 into Seattle, you're slow from Northgate in the downtown. Linwood to Seattle's at 25 minutes. North 5 heavy at the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. These are all typical backups, and that's kind of the theme right now this afternoon, typical to light volumes. Text app, APP, to 888-973-5476 to download the KIRO News Radio app. Listen to your favorite shows and get the latest news and updates sent straight to your phone. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Seattle voters wanted change.
I campaigned on affordability, on homelessness, on taxing the rich.
Can Mayor Wilson live up to the promises of candidate Wilson?
The self-proclaimed progressive socialist
managing high expectations. Trusted Northwest News voices you depend on.
More government programs, which means more tax dollars.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And the KIRO News Radio app.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax tax relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At Guardian Roofing, Gutters, and Insulation, we make protecting your home simple and affordable. With flexible financing and 20-plus years of trusted service, you can count on lasting quality from Guardian. Visit GuardianRoofing.com today.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through January 25th. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter.
No heat, electrical issues, frozen pipes, no power? John Curley here, recommending you call Home Comfort Alliance. For over 40 years, doing heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical right, including standby generators. Call the comfort people at HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Drill, baby, drill. If you're an SEC accredited investor looking for one of the most powerful tax advantages available in 2026, now is the time to take a serious look at Encore Energy. Under current federal guidelines, accredited investors may be able to deduct up to 100% of their investment in 2026. And for many investors, that level of tax relief is simply too valuable to ignore. Encore Energy offers operator direct participation in U.S. horizontal oil drilling in areas with a long record of success, including more than 100 producing wells already drilled. These are established fields with existing infrastructure and proven and ongoing production potential. For investors with $100K seeking aggressive tax strategy, portfolio diversification, and a way to participate directly in American energy development, call Encore Energy to get details now. These programs involve significant risk and aren't suitable for everyone. Call 1-800-544-1221. That's 1-800-544-1221. Again, 1-800-544-1221. Encore Energy, where smart investors act before the window closes. Encore Energy at 1-800-544-1221.
Guys, if your energy is low, your strength isn't what it used to be, or your drive feels off, it's not just getting older. For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, you can start with a free T-check, exam, and consultation, so you get real answers about your testosterone levels and overall health. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. This isn't guesswork or one-size-fits-all treatment. Revive specializes in personalized, closely monitored testosterone care designed to help men feel stronger, sharper, and more like themselves again. With over 120,000 patients treated since 2011, Revive Men's Health is trusted for results, not hype. If you've been putting this off, now is the time to act. Claim your free T-check and consultation and see if you qualify for 25% off TRT. This month only. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
Best Mortgage, the VA loan and reverse mortgage experts, are proud to partner with KIRO Radio for over 20 years. Get a no-pressure consultation from a real person, never an AI bot. Web search Best Mortgage for honest advice you can trust.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot.
Welcome back. Mike Lewis, Mandy Bossard in for John Curley. The Critics' Choice Awards are coming up, which is sort of the Oscars appetizer,
Passed.
right? Yeah. Passed.
And I want to talk about...
I'm sorry. Yes, passed.
Let me steal it from you.
All right.
I want to talk about how Amy Madigan won for Weapons, which is really exciting because I'm a huge horror nerd, and we are always forgotten. The award shows hate horror movies. A while back when Hereditary came out,
Right.
Toni Collette gave an incredible performance. Forgotten. Nobody
Right.
cares. But I also want to talk about my theory about horror. We're
Okay.
seeing this return to campy movies. Weapons was really campy. And back in 2004.
Sinners had
fun,
certainly had some
just
camp to it, right?
fun.
Yeah, right.
And I saw somebody say, why wasn't Bring Her Back as popular as Weapons? I don't know if you saw Bring Her Back.
I did not.
But it was incredibly heavy, really a contemplation about grief. And
Wait, I may have seen that. Go ahead, I'm
really
sorry.
heavy. It was
Yes.
Sally Hawkins.
Yeah, I did see that.
And I have this theory, back in 2004, during the Bush years, we had so many campy horror movies like Saw. They were churning out Saw movies. We got a Saw every year. And now, as things get pretty politically scary yet again, we're seeing a return to campy movies. And I think we just kind of lose our taste for deeper themes. I love the Saw movies. And I think we just kind of lose our taste for them as things get scary in the real world.
That's t-shirt grade.
But get that soundbite.
Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting point. I do feel like there is a correlation between how the news feed can be so at times be so overwhelmingly bad
Heavy.
that it makes it it's funny, I was talking with friends about, I used to be an everyday listener to the New York Times daily podcast.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I finally just quit. Like, I didn't quit because I don't love the New York Times. I will be a New York Times subscriber to my deathbed. I like the New York Times, and I like the quality of the reporting. And I know there's people out there who don't, but I'm just stating my own opinion about this. But the fact is that the podcast, it was this, I'd get my dose of news, some good, a lot of it bad, and I could handle it. But once I got it playing in my car while I'm doing other things, or, in the house or something like that, I found the weight of it became a bit much. I was learning a bit more, but the weight was disproportional to what I was learning, especially if you just were dipping in that pool every single day. And not every one of the podcasts is negative. It isn't. It's a terrific podcast. But at some point I was just like, I'm done. And I said this, and I had 4 different friends, all of whom are news junkies, some of whom are still in the media, and they said, me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too.
I find it hard.
Oh, you did too?
100%. I used to, at the gym every morning, I would listen to the daily. And then it became too much because I had, it used to as a prep tool, but then I decided I need to listen to a book or, something, music, whatever. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I find it hard to find that balance between staying informed and just being entrenched in it, where then it's like, okay, well, now I'm just doom scrolling. I'm reading it all. Because I used to be that way with Pod Save America. I would listen, I'd keep up,
Great point.
Stay in the loop.
Yeah.
And then I found myself really angry with them.
Right.
And then I was like, when are you saving America?
Well, what I was doing was I was just sort of quiet quitting or ghosting. I would just sort of look at it and I'd stare at it I'll do that later. Just keep putting it off until it's too old to look at, and then I just wouldn't do it anymore. All right, Nate Connors. I am assuming that you have at least some good news out there. I'm just taking this on as a flyer. I don't have any evidence of this, that you might have some good news out there.
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot of good news, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, this report brought to you by Northwest Hope and Healing. For the most part, our map has relatively light volumes across the region. In Federal Way, we do have a new crash, though. It's South 5 at State Route 18. It's blocking 2 left lanes, including the HOV lane. You're backed up to South 320th. Now, that's our only collision. In Fife, though, North 5 at 54th, that right lane is still blocked from police police activity. And the backup, though, is thinning out, starting at the scene, working its way back. So what that means to you is you're packed at the Tacoma Dome across the Puyallup River Bridge, and then you'll clear out. Going the other way, Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes. On 512 eastbound, you're slow from I-5 over past Portland over to Waller Road. Westbound 512 is thinned out, but still packed through the South Hill Curve. South 405 heavy from Bellevue into Renton. Bellevue to Renton, about a half hour. South 5 slows at Northgate into downtown. Again, these are all typical backups. Those lake bridges are both wide open. Join Northwest Hope and Healing for Cork, Fork, and Support, an afternoon of wine tasting and inspiration. Get your tickets now for January 31st at nwhopeandhealing.org. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This is your city.
Seattle voters have spoken, and they wanted change.
Wilson really resonated, especially with some younger voters.
On the terms of working people, make it work for them.
Katie Wilson is just actually not afraid to say she's a socialist.
What challenges does the political newcomer face once taking office?
Never having any managerial experience.
Stay with KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com for the latest.
Change takes time, and we don't give it time.
And the KIRO News Radio app.
All right, here's a quick confession. The reason Nick, my wife, is going to Longevity Medical Clinic is because why?
I got sick of watching you sleep at night when I was awake.
Wait a minute. Wait. Here's what would happen. I'd be asleep because I've got my hormones balanced thanks to Longevity Medical Clinic. I'm asleep, and then Nick would go, "Are you asleep? Are you sleeping? That's not fair. I can't sleep." I'm like, "So you're going to wake me up?"
Yes, because I didn't want you to have more energy than I would the next day, and I was up all night.
So what did I say to you? I said, so go to the Longevity Medical Clinic. Do the same thing I did. Get your hormones balanced. You'll sleep better, right?
And I did.
Right. You don't have to wake me up anymore and go, it's not fair that you're sleeping.
I know.
But didn't you see that it wasn't fair that you were waking me up?
Yes, because now you're the one taking the dogs out because I'm still asleep in the morning.
So we're both getting good night's sleep. We're both getting lots of energy, and we're happy.
You want me to tell you why? Because my hormones are now balanced.
Okay, I don't want to hear about your hormones right now. So be like Nick and get a free health analysis at lmclinic.com. That's lmclinic.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Amy Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's renter's insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the four walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free delivery. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious, with better nutrition, too. It's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. An early evening vigil is held after the shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE agent in South Minneapolis. Another video of Wednesday's shooting has been made public, a video by the officer himself. CBS's Usher Qureshi.
It shows the officer walking up on the SUV and the moment before he starts firing those shots up until the part where he does open fire, killing Renee Good. And it's hard to make out. Some of the audio is a little bit garbled. You can hear and see some of the interaction there.
Vice President J.D. Vance repeats his claim that the officer fired in self-defense. As it's doing in Minneapolis, the FBI is also investigating the shooting of two people by U.S. Customs and Border Patrol agents in Portland, Oregon yesterday. Homeland Security says the driver, who used his vehicle as a weapon, is from Venezuela and is in this country illegally. Police Chief Bob Day.
A gentleman was shot in the arm, and we applied a tourniquet upon arrival, and the female was shot in the chest. I was told today that they both had to have surgery. They're in stable condition. We're grateful for that.
Chief Day confirms that the two do have some involvement with Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. President Trump has met at the White House today with top executives from American oil companies.
The meeting follows the U.S. ouster of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. President Trump says this paves the way for the U.S. oil companies to return.
We will more closely integrate the economies of two major energy powers.
That integration, which includes rebuilding U.S. oil company infrastructure, will create what the president describes as a global energy powerhouse.
Together, we have 55% of the oil in the world.
Trump says decades ago, Venezuela stole U.S. assets. Now the U.S. is taking it back. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
A judge says she will rule at a later date on the defense's request to prevent prosecutors from seeking the death penalty against the man who's accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Odyssey New York reporter Mary Lynn Buckley.
Luigi Mangioni's team of defense attorneys pleaded with the judge to have the death penalty tossed out, and they also want pieces of evidence completely dismissed from the prosecution's discovery. The prosecution asking the judge to set an official trial date, saying there's many witnesses from out of state that need to come in to testify for the trial. The judge wasn't ready to set an official date yet, but she did suggest jury selection beginning as soon as September 8th.
Employers added 50,000 jobs in December, nearly unchanged from a downwardly revised figure of 56,000 in November. The unemployment rate slipped to 4.4%. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Coming up, 11 students taken to the hospital after a school bus crash. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All right, Aaron, in Federal Way, we've got a crash, South 5 at State Route 18. It's blocking two left lanes, including the HOV, and you're backed up now. That backup almost approaching South 288th right now. Seattle to Federal Way, 25 minutes. You got a little more slowing heading into Des Moines, so we're looking pretty good along South Center. North 5 and Fife at 54th. That right lane remains blocked where police activity here, where police actually rammed a car off the freeway into the Jersey barrier there. So it's a big scene as you get to the scene, and the backup behind it is thinning out nicely. Still heavy volumes near the Puyallup River Bridge. Tacoma to Federal Way is down to a 20-minute trip. Going the other way, Tacoma to Olympia, not too bad at 45 minutes. Renton to Puyallup, southbound 167, 40 minutes. South 405, still heavy from, we'll call it 520 now, down to Coal Creek Parkway. Bellevue to Renton, 25 minutes. South 5 into Seattle is slow at Northgate, and that's down to I-90, Linwood to Seattle Seattle's gone up just a bit to a half hour. North 5 heavy at the West Seattle Bridge. And really outside of this, we're looking at relatively light volumes. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. 11 elementary school students were taken to the hospital this morning after their school bus crashed into a car near Parkland. This happened at the intersection of Waller Road East and 128th Street East. Deputy Carly Capetto on the extent of their injuries.
When that bus braked hard to avoid hitting that sedan, all those kids flew forward. And so many of them complained of injuries from neck and head injuries.
She says the bus did have the right of way when it crashed into the sedan. You can see a video of that collision at mynorthwest.com. A former Expedia employee who hid cameras in bathrooms and spied on coworkers at the company's Seattle headquarters will spend 4 years in prison. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch reports.
Marcelo Vargas Fernandez pled guilty to 14 counts of felony voyeurism. Prosecutors say 14 counts represents only a fraction of the people who were violated dating back to 2023. Vargas Fernandez will be under community supervision once his sentence is complete. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Washington lawmakers will not hold hearings this session about two initiatives tied to schools and families. House and Senate leaders, both Democrats, confirmed today they will take no action. The measures are backed by the political action group Let's Go Washington, founded by Brian Haywood.
If they don't look at it at all, it automatically goes on the ballot next November, and everybody will have a chance to vote on it then.
One of those initiatives looks to ban transgender athletes from girls' sports. The other restores parts of a parental rights bill. This week's Washington Husky QB saga ends with Damon Williams Jr. staying on Montlake. This after Williams announced he was entering the transfer portal even after signing a contract to play for UW. Former Husky QB and Seattle sports host Brock Heward.
There were a lot of teammates outraged, a lot of alumni, a lot of Tyee Club, a lot of donors. Still very, very outraged at this. And yet I think the school will say, listen, he's 19 years old. He made a terrible decision. He made a terrible mistake. He had terrible judgment. He had bad actors in his ear. And this is the state of college football.
Now to your weekend forecast. We are going to stay dry for tomorrow. Rain returns later in the day. Rainy and breezy at times Sunday and again on Monday. Right now, 52 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back. John Curley Show. John is obviously not here. He is recuperating, famously. It's Mike Lewis. It is Mandy Bossard. Here to fill in. It takes two to fill in for one, John Curley. And we've got one of the things that John has, I think, I don't know, Joe, you can tell me how far back he started adding the little history segment into the show. But he likes history. Yes. And I love the fact that we get to talk about something that happened a long time ago because I don't have to be speculative about it. I can actually know it. But on top of that, like this one is interesting because this is the anniversary of, I think, one of the most important and seminal inventions of my lifetime, which is the iPhone. This is when the iPhone was introduced by Steve Jobs in 2000. It's in 1955. No, I mean, it seems so long ago, right? It seems like it's hard to even fathom how much that device changed everyone's existence. It just like it made it, I don't know whether it's for the better or for the worse. Probably both, certainly both. But it was seismic. And I remember the first time. Do you remember the first time you actually saw one?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what happened? What was the situation?
Well, I was saying when we were off air, I remember when touchscreens came out, I was like, what? These aren't going to stick around.
Yeah.
This is so annoying.
Right.
I love my little flip phone where I can write out an essay on the keyboard.
Right.
But I remember them coming out. I didn't get a phone until college. And now I think about this thing's glued to me all the time.
Yeah.
If it's gone, I feel like,
well, and you've got a life on TikTok. I mean, you are one of the primary people who's turned this into income, right?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly. And Joe, what about you? Do you remember the first time you saw one?
Yes, I got one in, I guess. Yeah,
That same year?
It was 2007, yeah, because it was right before I moved from LA to Phoenix, and I moved there in January of 2008. So I must have had it a couple of months before the end of 2007.
I remember I was tending bar in the Streamline. This is before ultimately we ended up purchasing. I was still a reporter at the Post-Intelligencer, and I had, I don't know, I think I had like a T-Mobile Dash, a phone I still miss. And I still, honestly, I still miss flip phones only because I loved the finality of hanging up.
Yeah.
I liked the snapping shut of it. I mean, I still miss that, and I would still get a flip phone if they make one that is actually pretty functional with a touchscreen. I'll probably go there, or if Apple does anyway. I'm not, some of the ones that are out now, maybe not so great, but nonetheless, I was tending bar one night, and somebody came in and had one, and like half the people, the bar wasn't that packed, but half the people, the bar were like moths, like gathered around this person who was showing off this thing, because it was fairly soon after the announcement, probably maybe the following October, something like that, like a month after the introduction, this person managed to score one.
Well, and remember how easily they would shatter?
Oh, everything about them was like they were jewels, right? And you didn't want to abuse them. But on the other hand, as soon as I saw it, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. I did not anticipate, and I was jealous of the keyboard, but I already had a pretty decent keyboard. I still miss actual, like, a more positive response from a keyboard. Like, I liked the T-Mobile Dash that I had, which was essentially the equivalent, T-Mobile's equivalent of a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And I actually, that thing was really functional. I loved that I could send emails and send text, and things like that with an actual keyboard. So I don't know that the keyboard immediately impressed me, but the camera did, and the quality of the screen did. But the real big thing, I would argue, as big as the phone, was the introduction of the App Store and creating this platform for everything to happen. And honestly, still part of Apple's ecosystem that it's, there's been antitrust investigations into it, because it is such a fundamental thing. Like, entire businesses are built, every social media company, they're built on a framework that is that App Store as well as the Android equivalent.
Well, and now everything has an app. We had a sparkling water machine at a job of mine, and that had an app.
Right. I mean, yes, there has been app mission creep, as far as the apps go. I agree. But I think that the acknowledging of the introduction of the iPhone was as important a technological advancement as will probably occur in my lifetime.
Well, and it's funny to think of, like, the impact. A friend recently switched to a dumb flip phone because she was like, I'm wasting so much time. I need a flip phone. I need to not be on the internet.
And how long ago was this?
This was maybe 6 months ago.
And still there?
No, it only lasted a couple months.
Key question? Yeah. I've tried it. I got another one as a backup phone, and it's kind of great. You could do the T9 keyboard texting, which I'm still stunned at how fast some people can still do that. But it was not. I did a few things. So here's an interesting, just to carry the iPhone thing one step farther. A friend of mine I noticed had changed his phone to black and white only. And that's been this thing that has been written about by behavioral scientists. And New York Times just recently did a story on this, but it's been around for a little while, that it deadens that sort of pleasure center of seeing alerts on your phone.
You're not getting that dopamine hit.
You're not getting it in the same way, and it makes it easier to avoid, like, always glancing at your phone if you just drop all the vivid colors into a straight, chromatic, black, gray, white chromatic screen, a monochromatic screen. You can actually, just in that act alone, everything is as functional. You can do everything that you normally would do, but you don't spend as much. They notice that people don't spend as much time on the phone just by doing that. And it's a fairly easy setting. And in your settings, you can do it anytime you want in a couple of seconds. And that was one of the things that actually got them, lowering their screen time. For me, I was as a kid, I always liked, in college especially, I always had a watch on. I liked swatches, blah, blah, blah. And I, for a while, many years ago, stopped wearing a watch. But I found that when I started wearing one again, that I didn't drop into my phone for the time anymore. Oh. And I found that was kind of a nice way to, and I wear my Apple Watch when I'm working out, or I'm doing something that involves, that I need it sort of for GPS kind of stuff, and maybe emergency notifications, or should something happen to me, an automatic emergency notification. But I don't wear it all the time. And I find that just having something that is just a discrete time teller,
Yeah.
I don't then go to because if you go to your phone for the time, it's like it's essentially the equivalent of a half gallon of milk in the store sold at below cost. It is a loss leader, right? The time is the loss leader, and then you're in for a while, and then you're checking messages, and then you're looking at this and blah, blah, blah. For me, it's been kind of a nice way because I worry about my screen time a bit. I don't think it's as bad as some because I prefer being on my laptop. I don't do much real work on my phone.
See, that's what I need to switch back to more. If you have thoughts on being glued to your phone, text us at 888-973-5476. I have been really, really trying to cut back on screen time, and I've been using a screen app blocker. And when you find your thumb still trying to find it, just looking for it.
Yeah. I've been there, done that. Yeah. All right. So on keeping the tech trend going, there's a couple stories out of Redmond regarding Microsoft. One, the Microsoft story, so-called story about mass layoffs between 11 and 22,000 people to be laid off in January. It turns out it was not released by Microsoft, and it is not true, according to Microsoft execs. They said flatly that is not, if you had heard about this, that is apparently a rumor, and it was not a well-founded rumor, and it is not going to happen. That's what Microsoft execs are saying. In fact, Microsoft is kind of doing a little bit of the opposite. It is expanding its footprint in Redmond and scooping up office space. So the speculation is, given that Microsoft has had layoffs, so it's not like it's out of the possibility that Microsoft could have layoffs. It is a weird world that we've entered also as a result of AI, where companies are getting their highest valuations in history, trillion-dollar corporations as Microsoft is, and announcing layoffs.
Yeah.
Because typically it is a slump that leads to layoffs. Not anymore. Now it is the idea that jobs are changing, or that you're being replaced potentially by an AI, or that your other jobs need more people. And so you're hiring on one end, but you're laying off on the other because they're pivoting very quickly to new jobs. And so Microsoft is scooping up office space. So I guess, as our earlier talk about trades, as that goes, clearly there's still reason to be going to college, and still reasons to be getting the computer science degrees and other things other degrees like that. But it's hard to know, I think, as a college student now, what is still going to be around. If you're starting, you know that you've got 5 years, let's say, before you start college and you actually really enter the job market in a serious way. And I don't know what I would tell a kid.
I know.
In fact, again, like you said, the text line, if you have any thoughts, like what you're telling your own kids about what to do if they're in the front end of college, not on the back end of college, 888-973-5476, because I don't know where this is going. And I know that Microsoft even did layoffs, that it now has clawed back some of those people because it went too far down the road. Amazon has had the same problems. What would you do if you were getting into college right now? What direction would you go?
I hate to say that my gut reaction, so my partner didn't go to college, and he taught himself. He was able to get a job. He's now in QA. And I look at my theater degree and all the loans I'm still paying off. And so it's really hard to not. If I had a kid heading off right now, it would be really hard to sell them on student loans.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Especially taking on an immense amount of debt right now in a very unsteady job market. And then you hate to say that to a kid, don't go to college. I loved going to college.
Right.
But
it's about more than jobs training.
Yeah.
Right. Certainly.
Well, and I just keep thinking about how this has affected the workplace culture, because why would you have any loyalty to a job at this point? They don't have any loyalty to you. They'll cut you in a second.
Yeah. Well, I've often wondered about that level of loyalty ever, right?
Yeah.
To some degree. But I think that is true. And I think that the idea of staying in a job in one company for a decade or two is mostly, it's entering into mythology as we speak, right? It just doesn't happen as much. And people also move around a lot more, and job markets change, and AI is not done completely rewriting what is being done by humans and what isn't being done by humans. And again, as we had a pretty funny, I'll spill the beans on this one early, pretty funny text. What was the text we got from a plumber when we were talking about the trades?
Brent in Tacoma says, I'm a plumber, and until they invent wireless water, I'll always have a job.
Exactly. Exactly. Very funny. We love that one. So that's kind of where it's at. And so I don't know, like I wouldn't, when I entered, again, back to one of the many like ridiculous decisions that I have made or thoughts that I had. When I went into journalism by mistake, and I'm not exaggerating. I literally filled out the wrong like bubble on an elective class and ended up and I was shocked when it came up on my thing, and I got in there and I liked it. I immediately liked it, but I wasn't one of those kids who grew up wanting to be a reporter or did like the family newspaper and all these sort of stories that are always brought out among. Certainly in the days among print reporters that like a lot of them like wanted to do this when they were young, and I had no desire to. I didn't have a desire not to. I just didn't even think about it. And it was so my profession ended up being accidental, but it was always hard. Like I didn't enter journalism when it was thriving. It's compared to now, absolutely thriving. But what it was at the time was like this series of like 1% raises, companies claiming, crying poor when they were making a lot of money, but they were certainly not passing that along. But they also knew that we wanted that gig. We really wanted to be reporters, most of the people in the room, and we were willing to take the same way teachers are. You're willing to take kind of a lousy salary, at least certainly back then, because you just wanted to do this thing. Like you got a real rush out of doing the job itself.
It's so funny. I've been rereading Stephen King's memoir. And
Interesting.
He talks about how he got a job writing sports news as a punishment. He was a kid who was like, kept getting detention in high school, right. And they were like, okay, you have to take this job. And he was like, I don't know anything about sports.
That's funny because it was, I didn't get into it because I thought that's going to be a great career move, but I also went into college at a point where I knew so many people who graduated and very few people who actually worked in what they graduated in. Mm-hmm. So I knew that just getting through college was sort of, I just saw that as kind of breaking the tape. I wasn't really so concerned. It turned out I did end up getting in, journalism. I spent most of my career doing that, still doing it. But it was not my goal necessarily. My goal was just because very few people in my family tree have ever gone to college. And so it was nice to be able to do that. But I didn't think in terms of, what it was going to mean for me. I was excited to move out of the house. I was excited I didn't have to move back in, all of those things. And it turned out to be like, I think, phenomenal. I loved it. It was always lousy money, but it was always really interesting. Like it never wasn't interesting.
And I would say college really shaped me as a person and it pushed me to think critically in a way that I don't know if I would have if I hadn't gone to, I went to Occidental, which is a liberal arts school. Obama went there for 2 years.
We have now 3 Occidental graduates that I know of here at KIRO.
Really?
We have 3. You,
Laura,
and I think Jason Rance. I think Jason Rance is also
that's
a product.
all we have in common.
That is also a product of Occidental. It just shows you that Occidental puts out all kinds of people. Anyway, so back to Redmond. It looks like So to recap, Microsoft is not going to be doing layoffs. Microsoft is actually expanding in that town, which is good in some ways, I suppose, grabbing up office space because there certainly is a lot of it available right now.
Well,
Amazon has rolled back some of its plans in Redmond, so that stuff is available, and it's nice to see that. That's a good indication if Microsoft is renting more space. That's usually a good indication of doing more hiring.
But I would say, here's my conspiracy theory. They're pushing people back into the office, these people who very comfortably could work from home, which is good for the environment, good for employees. They're pushing people back into the office. And then we get this rumor going that there's going to be mass layoffs. And I just wonder if they spread the rumor themselves. So people are scared and then they're like, yeah, I'll come back into the office.
I can't imagine a major American corporation spreading rumors. What kind of person are you anyway? Some sort of Occidental graduate. So yeah, sure. That's possible. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm kind of curious whether or not what this does mean, and certainly the but Microsoft has been on beating the back to the office drum for a while, as Amazon. It hasn't been quite as strict as some companies. And I think that the back to the office thing was less about coming back to the office than attrition. I think mostly that was to get people because for big companies, if you don't know this, and most of you probably do, it's much more expensive to lay someone off than it is to have them quit. Having them quit is a freebie. It's maybe expensive in terms of loss of talent, but it's not expensive in terms of like severance package and unemployment and blah, blah, blah.
Potential
blah, blah.
lawsuit.
All that kind of stuff. It becomes very expensive. So they would rather have you quit So that's why I think a lot of certainly Amazon's case, it was to get you to bounce and make it cheap on them. So Nate Connors, you did deliver on good news last time we went away to you. I'm feeling. We're playing with house money now. So I say,
go with your gut feeling.
Let's just go. I'm going with my gut feeling and saying it's still coming. More good news?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it good news at this point, but
playing one hand too long.
It's not terrible, Mike. The Emerald Queen Casino has the update. In Federal Way, we still have our collision South 5 at State Route 18, taking up 2 left lanes. So that backup now stretches back to South 272nd. Seattle to Federal Way is at a half hour. In Fife, we cleared that earlier police activity North 5 at 54th, so no longer any blocking issues here. That backup still remains between the Tacoma Dome and the Puyallup River Bridge. Tacoma to Olympia, 50 minutes. Backups to JBLM and between Lacey and Olympia. State Route 512 has heavy volumes from I-5 over to Portland, and then westbound 512 slows from Meridian over to Canyon Road. In Auburn, westbound 18, just before Auburn Black Diamond Road, a crash just reported, and that backup already extends to Auburn Way. Here in Seattle, North 5 express lanes just past Lake City Way, a stall blocks the right lane. State Patrol on scene assisting. Seattle to Everett on the main line is just 35 minutes. Minor slowing through Shoreline and parts of Linwood. Bellevue to Everett, 40 minutes. A little slowing between Kirkland and Bothell. Live professional boxing is back with the main event February 6th at the Emerald Queen Casino. The main event powered by WFC February 6th only at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
After voters made it clear they want change.
That I will faithfully conduct myself as the mayor of the city of Seattle.
What should Seattle residents expect from Mayor Katie Wilson?
She talked a lot about our affordability crisis.
Northwest News voices you depend on.
It's a misdiagnosis of the problem. You believe government can solve this problem.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. The KIRO News Radio app with opinion and analysis at mynorthwest.com.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off, and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Call 1-877-CARS for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS for Kids.
Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Guys, if your energy is low, your strength isn't what it used to be, or your drive feels off, it's not just getting older. For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, you can start with a free T-check, exam, and consultation, so you get real answers about your testosterone levels and overall health. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. This isn't guesswork or one-size-fits-all treatment. Revive specializes in personalized, closely monitored testosterone care designed to help men feel stronger, sharper, and more like themselves again. With over 120,000 patients treated since 2011, Revive Men's Health is trusted for results, not hype. If you've been putting this off, now is the time to act. Claim your free T-check and consultation and see if you qualify for 25% off TRT. This month only. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away.
Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ziprecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ziprecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ziprecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home. Thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education, and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo. New details about yesterday's shooting in Portland by Customs and Border Patrol agents. Portland Police Chief Bob Day now confirms reports from the Department of Homeland Security. The 2 suspects who were shot and injured have ties to a Venezuelan gang.
This information in no way is meant to disparage or to condone or support or agree with any of the actions that occurred yesterday.
More from KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey in Portland.
The Department of Homeland Security says Luis Moncado and Yorlenes Zambrano Contreras both entered the U.S. illegally in 2022 and 2023, respectively. They describe them as criminal illegal aliens. That he is a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, and she was his prostitute. In Portland, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
The Oregon Department of Justice is launching its own investigation. There is new video out today of that fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE officer in Minneapolis. This one was taken by the officer who fired those shots. CBS's Ashar Karashi reports.
It shows the officer walking up on the SUV and the moment before he starts firing those shots up until the part where he does open fire, killing Renee Good. And it's hard to make out. Some of the audio is a little bit garbled. You can hear and see some of the interaction there.
Dozens of green card holders in Seattle say their citizenship interviews have been canceled. More from KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery.
Seattle has an Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, and part of their mission is supporting organizations that provide citizenship assistance. They say every one of those groups has told them about canceled interviews and even canceled oath appointments for people who have had their interviews already, all without explanation. The Trump administration did pause immigration applications for certain high-risk countries, but the Seattle Times reports many of the people whose interviews were canceled are not from those countries. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Seahawks are cracking down on season ticket holders trying to flip their playoff seats. A team source tells Hawk Blogger that fans are getting warning emails saying resale could jeopardize their 2026 renewal. Notice urges ticket holders to give seats to friends or family instead to keep Lumen Field, quote, packed with blue and green. Let's go now to the real-time traffic desk at 4:33. Here's Nate Connors.
This one's brought to us by Subaru of Puyallup, Federal Way, South 5 at State Route 18. We're still dealing with a collision blocked in 2 left lanes. It's bumper to bumper starting at South 272nd, Seattle to Federal Way. It will take you 35 minutes. Over in Auburn, westbound 18, just prior to Auburn Black Diamond Road, we've got a crash and you're backed up to Auburn Way. South Center off the freeway, we've got a collision southbound on Aurelia Road at South 200th. It's blocking those southbound lanes, and we've got some big backups in the area, particularly heading southbound on Aurelia. In North 5 express lanes, just past Lake City Way, a stall blocks your right lane. Bellevue to Renton, just under a half hour. North 5 into Seattle is packed, starting just around the Michigan curve in the downtown. South 5 is packed at 85th in the downtown, and both of our lake bridges look great, all clear in both directions. Confident winter driving starts at Subaru of Puyallup. Find stress-free pricing at SubaruofPuyallup.com and enjoy stress-free buying experience at Subaru of Puyallup, your stress-free dealership. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
And your forecast now, we're going to stay dry tonight and for most areas tomorrow morning and afternoon. Rain showers do move in later in the day, continue into Sunday. Right now, 52 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
KIRO 7 News starting at 4. When you need to stay plugged in and connected, they've got you. Live breaking news so you know what's happening now. Investigations and in-depth coverage to get you answers. Weather on the way to help you prepare, bringing the day's biggest stories into focus so you know more. Watch KIRO 7 News at 4, 5, and 6 only on KIRO 7 TV.
This hour brought to you by Bucky's Auto Repair. Welcome back to the show. Mike Lewis, Mandy Broussard here. This is been one of the grimmer stories of the past couple of weeks, certainly since New Year's. The nightmare, as it was called in The Guardian, the nightmare of incomprehensible nightmare of the Swiss bar fire, the Le Constellation fire that killed
40 kids.
40 kids, injured 100 more.
Yeah.
It's just those are the type of things that I think that and what happened was the development is that one of the owners was arrested.
Yeah.
One of the 2 owners of that bar was arrested. That's one of those things that has, I think, resonance with a lot of people because many of us have been in clubs, especially if you go out and you see music or you hang out in many times in music venues. I mean, ever since way back in the day, the famous one in New Jersey, I think Great White.
The Station nightclub fire?
Yeah, which was just like people are trapped. Like they can't, and they were doing pyrotechnics,
It played out, these fires played out exactly the same way. It was acoustic foam and just cheap materials and then indoor pyrotechnics.
Yeah. So when you read about this story and what's been developing since, how did it make you feel?
The second I heard the acoustic foam, I went down the rabbit hole about the Station nightclub fire a bit back and just how those fires play out. And a lot of the time when you see fires like this, you then hear about, well, why wasn't there another fire exit? And with this fire, you hear that it was blocked. Or the Station nightclub fire, you heard that a bouncer wasn't letting people through. He said it was the band exit. And plenty of fires have happened this way where a door was chained. They didn't want people to get away without paying bar tabs or something. And then people die. And this just broke my heart where some of the youngest victims were 14. And what really got me is I saw this social media reaction where people were like, well, why were people standing around and filming? It's like, they were young, they were drunk, and they'd seen indoor fireworks. It's like the Station nightclub fire where people's first reaction wasn't, oh, this is a fire. It was like, oh, this is part of the show. And it just breaks my heart. These kids were doomed.
Yeah, they were doomed. And on top of that, I don't understand why one, deal with a little bit of financial loss by not having a door blocked. Like the idea of inviting that many people in, probably exceeding your occupancy limit, which every business has, I think, certainly in Switzerland, but certainly in the United States as well. I mean, I know that we have one. Doing all of those things, it just seems like what's the potential upside is pretty minimal. Let's just say it's an extra few $100.
Yeah.
The potential downside is catastrophic. And not just catastrophic. Let's just set aside the fact that 40 people died and a whole bunch more are injured, and some of them are probably also going to die.
Yeah.
Setting that aside, and that's obviously the most important thing, but how is this, if you do these sort of things, like, let's say no one dies, it's still financially catastrophic. One, you're going to lose a whole bunch of people who would have been customers. Two, your insurance company is not going to be paying you out. If you did, like, I know because I deal directly with the insurance companies, like, they walk through and they do fairly intense inspections, sometimes at a ridiculous level, things that don't really matter. But some of the stuff they're looking at actually does matter. And if your fire extinguishers are not current, if your fire suppression unit, and if you have a kitchen, your fire suppression unit, like all of that stuff, there is a reason that, I mean, everyone always gets a little tense. I do too, because it's expensive to do these inspections, especially when the equipment is in perfect shape and you know it's in perfect shape. However, here's the alternative. Yeah. This is the alternative when you decide to not do that, when you decide to let one thing slip, which leads to 2 things slipping, which leads to 10 things slipping. That's when you start having real issues. I mean, we've got to, like, I continually make sure, like, I check doors all the time, and I don't check them for being unlocked. I'll do that after hours. I check them for being locked because depending on your building and depending what your areas of egress are, those have to be available to people. They have to. And you cannot leave that kind of, if you lock it temporarily while you're cleaning something or doing something else, you have to remember to go back and open this stuff up. And in this particular case, I can't even imagine the list of violations that this place had before letting that many people in and then allowing, was it sparklers on champagne bottles or something along those lines?
And you're so right about little things slipping. You can see how they go, oh, we're going to use a cheaper foam. We're recommended to use this kind of foam, but we're going to use this. It's just a little bit cheaper. And then you go, yeah, we're supposed to have this many people, but if we let a few more people in, you're right. What, you're making a couple $100 more bucks, and then this happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good. I mean, setting aside the human tragedy, it just financially doesn't make any sense. So why should it ever lead to the human tragedy? It's a dumb thing to do from the outset, and then it becomes a dumb, cruel thing to do, you know, if it goes to its completion. But I'm curious what you think. Like, when after the what's the name of the fire again? The one in New Jersey,
Station Night.
Yeah. Did that change the way?
It really.
I remember after that happened, and there were 2 times. Very split. Once in San Francisco and once here in Seattle, a place that no longer exists. And I walked in and said, nope. Like, I just immediately got that cold feeling. Like, if something goes haywire here, even if you're near an exit, you're probably not going to do so well. Like, it was so difficult to weave your way, if you wanted to get to a good place to view, to weave your way back out of this in so many areas, to get pinned by somebody, and so difficult. I just thought it wasn't worth anymore going to a show.
See, that's the one that really gets to me, is the threat of crowd crush.
Right.
Especially what we saw at Astroworld a couple years ago.
Oh, good point.
And that can happen so silently, where people were feet away and didn't realize that there was this huge just crush of people.
Right.
And that I don't go to shows a ton, but my partner sees shows a ton, and he has to tell me, like, okay, I looked for my fire exits.
I do it. I mean, I do it every time. It's almost like they should in nightclubs have the flight attendant speech, and like let everyone know where the doors are, because people let those lights, which is illegal, they'll let the exit lights go out, or the exit light will be over something that is no longer functioning as an exit, like that, and it drives people in panic that direction, and then they're done for.
Well, and just human instinct is we go back the way we came in. So it's like people need to fight against that instinct and find the fire exit.
Right.
It just breaks my heart.
Yeah, this one has been awful, and it's going to play out even more. I mean, it's because it's so preventable. This is not a freak occurrence. This is not an unexpected flood. This is not an earthquake. This is like, this was sitting there, a little bomb ready to go off, and people kept like partying around the bomb, and they were not the ones who were supposed to know, but the owners are.
And how many of those are sitting there right now?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you have a chance to hear this story and go fix it right now.
Yeah, that's such an awful, awful story. And it's good that one of the owners was arrested. I'm assuming the other one will be as well. And obviously, if there's any new developments on that, we'll be talking about it in the coming weeks. Nate Connors I'm sorry. So I lost last round. I predicted predicted more good news. I am now not in the good news. We're getting closer to 5, and I feel like my luck has run out as far as traffic goes.
Yeah. You're on it. You're nailing it. Northwest Hope and Healing has our update. We still have our collision, which is now turning into a long-term collision in Federal Way, South 5 at State Route 18, 2 left lanes blocked. And you're backed up to State Route 516. Seattle to Federal Way has gone up to 50 minutes. Over in Auburn, we cleared that crash westbound 18 heading out toward Auburn, Black Diamond Road. That backup is cleared out behind it as well. Now in South Center, we've got a collision southbound on Aurelia Road at South 200th. It's blocking the southbound lanes. Big backups in the area, and drivers should seek alternate routes at this time. This could be a long-term issue. North 5 into Seattle is packed starting just around the Michigan curve in the downtown. South 5 is thick from 85th into downtown. Linwood to Seattle, 40 minutes. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway, also at 40 minutes. And north of Seattle, we're looking at relatively light volumes this afternoon. Join Northwest Hope and Healing for Cork, Fork, and Support. An afternoon of wine tasting and inspiration. Get your tickets now for January 31st at nwhopeandhealing.org. KIRO News Radio Real-Time Traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Seattle voters wanted change.
I campaigned on affordability, on homelessness, on taxing the rich.
Can Mayor Wilson live up to the promises of candidate Wilson?
The self-proclaimed progressive socialist managing high expectations.
Trusted Northwest News voices you depend on.
More government programs, which means more tax dollars.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And the KIRO News Radio app.
All right, I've got to tell you, I love the fact that Mike Novak, the first time I met him, I immediately tell this guy is a hard charger because I'm on the phone talking to him and I'm coming up with these different ideas about selling houses. And he waited, he listened, and then he said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Curly, you tell everybody I will sell their house in 21 days. And if I can't, I won't charge a commission. I was silent. On the other end, I'm thinking, that's a lot of money and a lot of time to give up if you can't sell the house in 21 days, because that's how serious I am. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to sell that house. And I looked up, I did some research. Michael spent like 70 times more than the average agent when it comes to marketing your house to make sure it gets seen and shown and sold. Because remember, he is putting his money up. You're going to get a very aggressive, very smart guy who's going to be able to sell your house. You want to make sure if you plan on selling that Mike Novak is the guy that has your listing. How? Go to meetthenovaks.com. That's meetthenovaks.com. That's spelled N-O-V-A-K. Meetthenovaks.com.
For seniors, the new year is a good time to reassess finances. If you're struggling with bills, our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage says a reverse mortgage may be a great way to ease your stress.
Seniors tell me all the time, we love our home, we love to stay here, but we just can't afford it anymore. A reverse mortgage lets you tap your home equity for tax-free cash to pay off your mortgage, pay off your debts, and maybe put some extra money in the bank. You've worked hard for that home equity. Now let your home work for you. And best of all, you'll have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
And you always talk to a real person, not an AI robot.
That's right. You'll get a no-pressure consultation directly from me. Never a sales pitch and never an AI bot.
Honest advice you can trust from Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage experts, the VA loan and debt consolidation experts too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tune in to The Money Professor with Chris Longworth.
Having some certainty about your plan is definitely going to give you all the advantages.
Chris has the heart of an educator.
If you really want to do this correctly, then you get to enjoy every day of retirement like it's a Saturday. And if you don't, it's a Monday for the rest of your life.
Tune in to The Money Professor with Chris Longworth, Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through January 25th. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
Guys, feeling low energy or low drive? It could be low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health, start with a free T-check and consultation. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off TRT. Book now at ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. The Consumer Electronics Show, which has been one of the big gathering points, usually, almost always, I think, in Vegas, and it was again. And one of the things that always gets ignored, I think, and one of my favorite things at the Consumer Electronics Show that doesn't get enough play, but did this year, is the Worst in Show, because frequently the Best in Show I probably already know about. You know, Apple doesn't participate in the famously doesn't participate in the Consumer Electronics Show, and so some of the interesting things coming out from a technology standpoint don't even happen there. But the Worst in Show is pretty great, because the Worst in Show is some stuff that, you know, I don't need my water heater connected to the internet. I don't need a smart fridge. I just need a cold fridge. My fridge can be incredibly stupid, and I'm totally happy with it, right? But some of the stuff in the annual Worst in Show list, the list was released, and some of it is pretty great, including, and I know that actually a lot of people like this, and I know quite a few people with them, but Amazon doorbells, once again, were a featured participant in the Worst in Show for privacy, because it's just this nonstop privacy invasion that also can be directly fed to law enforcement. I think that's important in some place, certainly when it comes to porch pirates. I think that other times, just as contributing to the surveillance state, maybe
and
not
just
such a
overall
great
paranoia.
thing. And overall paranoia. Do you have one of those?
I don't.
I wish I had one, but I live in an apartment, so.
Oh, so it wouldn't really do you much good.
No, not
it
at
wouldn't
all.
do you much good. All right, so we've got the on the leading my list of the creepy new technology. There's the desk-bound AI soulmate companion that watches your eyes. Winning the People's Choice of Worst Products was the AI companion called Amy. She's made by a Chinese company Lepro, which mostly sells lamps and lighting technology. Amy appears as a female avatar on a curved screen and marketed as, quote, "You're always on 3D soulmate." Designed for remote workers looking for private and empathetic interactions during long days at the home office, it tracks eye movements and other emotional signals like tone of voice. The group says it is calling out to the group, and being the group that nominates and votes for all of the Worst in Show items. The group says it's calling out Lepro for having the audacity to suggest that AI video surveillance device at your desk could be anyone's soulmate. Advocates acknowledge the device comes with a physical camera shutter, but they said they were unsettled by its always-on marketing. Lepro did not respond for comments. Did you see any on this list that struck your fancy?
Well, just with that one, it sounds like something straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like Amy sounds designed to go crazy and
Exactly. And then start influencing you. You don't seem happy again today.
I just wanted to loop back to everything with a Ring. The thing that gets me is when the way that people will post videos, like they think that their Amazon driver does something cute or something.
Right.
And they're just posting videos of strangers without checking in with them at all.
Yeah. All of it.
Or kids Halloween, like trick-or-treating.
Right.
It's like you're posting a picture of someone else's kid.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you should probably, if you have a Ring doorbell, probably put a sign up that says you're under surveillance. As soon as you get on the property, you are. I mean, and I know that Ring doorbells have led to good things. And I know that if you're living alone and you're worried about security, it's a pretty handy device. I get all of that. I still am not a big fan of Amazon's commitment to privacy laws, but nonetheless.
Well, now they have a pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. Nate Connors, I think that we're getting at peak traffic. How's it looking?
Yeah, you nailed that. For peak traffic, we're doing really good out there, Mike. South Center, however, we've got an update on our collision southbound on Aurelia Road at South 200th. Officials now say this roadway will be closed for an investigation for the next 5 hours. In Federal Way, we still got our long-term crash, South 5 at State Route 18, taking up 2 left lanes. You're bumper to bumper now, starting at State Route 516. Seattle to Federal Way is a 45-minute commute. That is a 15-minute delay. Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes. It's packed in JBLM, and then we're thinning out between Lacey and Olympia. I'm seeing a solid 3-mile backup southbound 507 this afternoon as you head into McKenna there near Yelm. Renton to Auburn on southbound 167 is 25 minutes. North 5 into Seattle packed, approaching the West Seattle Bridge now in the downtown. It's starting to thin down. South 5 remains packed at about 85th down to I-90. Linwood to Seattle, 40 minutes, and all that slowing is right there in that backup. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This is your city.
Seattle voters have spoken, and they wanted change.
Wilson really resonated, especially with some younger voters.
On the terms of working people, make it work for them.
Katie Wilson is just actually not afraid to say she's a socialist.
What challenges does the political newcomer face once taking office?
Never having any managerial experience.
Stay with KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com for the latest.
Change takes time, and we don't give it time.
And the KIRO News Radio app.
I bet you folks are glad to be done with your shopping. Hopefully, all your gifts went well. But there's one last store to visit, this time just for yourself. Your chance to get one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony TVs at a crazy low price. Where? At Video Only's year-end clearance sale. A great way to end the year. If you don't check out these deals at Video Only, you'll be sorry.
G and Ursula on KIRO News Radio.
You're not going to be able to stop what's going to happen.
I hope he's successful.
9 to noon, streaming live on your smart speaker.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself. I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm gonna make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Download the KIRO Newsradio app, where you can watch us live or stream us live anywhere, anytime.
How would this initiative, whatever this initiative is, how would he fund it?
Stay connected everywhere. Download the KIRO Newsradio app.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Confidence with winter driving starts at Subaru of Puyallup. Subaru's legendary all-wheel drive and advanced safety can handle rainy commutes and icy roads. Find stress-free pricing and a stress-free experience at SubaruofPuyallup.com. Subaru of Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, KIRO FM, and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. An early evening vigil is held at the Minnesota State Capitol after the shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis Wednesday. Rabbi Jason Rodich.
We stand here with our beautiful differences and in unity with our grief and determination. And we stand here because Renee Nicole Good was murdered by forces of evil.
This man attended the vigil.
In this country, we have trials, and we have judges, and we have juries, and we do not have public executions.
Video from the ICE agent with a new angle on Wednesday's shooting is shared by the White House, with Vice President J.D. Vance repeating his argument that the officer fired in self-defense. No comment yet on that video by Minnesota officials. Leaders in Portland, Oregon are pushing for federal agents to leave after a shooting sent 2 people to the hospital. The Portland police chief confirms that the man and woman have ties to a Venezuelan gang. KXL's Heather Roberts has spoken with Oregon Democratic U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley.
Senator Merkley lives within blocks of the shooting. He tells me he's frustrated with the lack of communication from the administration.
We have much less information than we would have expected.
And what they have released so far, he says, is suspect.
Because the Secretary of Homeland Security and her officials that work with her have lied to the American public and to Congress time and time again, we are at this unfortunate moment in which we cannot trust the information that comes from them.
Heather Roberts for CBS News, Portland, Oregon.
Homeland Security says the driver, who is in the U.S. illegally, weaponized his vehicle, causing an agent to fire a defensive shot. President Trump hosted oil executives at the White House today to talk about investing in Venezuela after the recent events. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
The interim authorities in Venezuela realize the game has changed.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright says the interactions have been fantastic.
The United States is now in a very strong position because we're controlling the sale of their oil. But right now we're doing it massively for their benefit. We're selling their oil at a higher price. We're collecting money in U.S.-controlled accounts, and we're delivering money to the interim authorities in Venezuela.
In return, he says they have promised to work with the U.S. to improve safety and restore relations. But he said that will take some time.
A judge for now stops the Trump administration's freeze on child care and other social service funding for 5 states. The government says employers added 50,000 jobs to payrolls in December as the unemployment rate ticked down from 4.5% to 4.4%. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
It is a job market that shows a lot of cooling since the summer of 2025, but it is not falling apart.
This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Coming up, we hear from a mom whose daughters were involved in a school bus crash. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
Alrighty, in South Center, an investigation has Aurelia Road closed at South 200th in both directions of Aurelia, and officials just told us recently that this investigation will last for at least the next 5 hours. In Federal Way, we finally cleared that long-term crash, South 5 at State Route 18, so this is going to open up a couple lanes, which is good news for drivers stuck in that 7-mile backup starting at State Route 516. Seattle to Federal Way right now is at 45 minutes, a 15-minute delay. Tacoma to Olympia also at 45 minutes. Eastbound 512, it's packed through Parkland between I-5 and Portland Avenue. Just heavy volume here. On Bainbridge Island, northbound 305, we're seeing a solid 3-mile backup between Northeast Day Road across the Agate Pass Bridge. Renton to Auburn on southbound 167 is going to take you 25 minutes. It's solid coming off 405 all the way down to South 277th. Bellevue to Renton's at a half hour. North 5 is packed approaching the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. South 5 heavy from 85th in the downtown. Linwood to Seattle, though, has improved to a half hour. This report brought to you by the KIRO Newsradio app. Text APP to 888-973-5476 to download the KIRO Newsradio app and listen to your favorite shows and get the latest news and updates sent straight to your phone. KIRO Newsradio real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Granillo. A school bus crash near Parkland this morning landed 11 students in the hospital, most of them suffering minor neck and head injuries. Delcy Baumgardner tells KIRO 7 TV her 6-year-old twins were on board.
I just knew I had to hurry up and get there to make sure, see if it was my kids and if they were okay.
One of her daughters was taken to the hospital for a high heart rate. Both are doing okay. Deputies say that school bus had the right of way when another driver turned in front of them. A former Expedia employee will spend 4 years in prison for planting hidden cameras in office bathrooms and his ex-wife's home. 44-year-old Marcelo Vargas Fernandez pleaded guilty to 14 counts of voyeurism. Here's part of one victim's impact statements.
The loss of privacy has affected my confidence, my sense of safety, and my ability to trust institutions that are supposed to protect employees.
Seattle police found cameras in bathrooms at Expedia's Interbay campus 2 years ago. Investigators say they later seized 33 cameras and multiple hard drives from Vargas Fernandez's apartments. Health officials are warning of a measles exposure in both King and Snohomish counties. Here's KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery.
A family from South Carolina visited Marysville, Mukilteo, and Everett after Christmas. They flew in and out of SeaTac Airport. And then they found out one of the adults and 3 of the kids had measles. It's a highly contagious virus. Measles can spread before its telltale rash appears and stay in the air for 2 hours after an infected person leaves the area. Young children especially can have serious side effects. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Redmond police are warning residents about a roofing scam. It cost one homeowner nearly $300,000. Detectives say 2 men with Irish accents went door to door in the Education Hill neighborhood, claiming to work for a local contractor, but after starting the job, they pressured that victim into paying for unnecessary repairs. Police say they are investigating similar cases. Your forecast for the weekend calls for dry conditions starting tomorrow. Rain showers, though, moving in later tomorrow night and continuing into Sunday. Right now, 50 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Obviously, John is not here. It is Mike Lewis and Mandy Bossard here, filling in for John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
It's been a fast-moving show so far. So we're going to get into, there's no way to talk around it. The biggest story in the country right now is, both in Minneapolis and to a slightly less degree in Portland, the shooting of protesters by ICE agents in Minneapolis. The latest is a fairly sizable protest chant and march and a rally for Renee Good, who was the woman fatally shot by ICE officers on Thursday in Minneapolis. I'm sure you folks are quite familiar with the story, and you probably have seen some of the video and probably have some of your own impressions. 888-973-5476 is our text line. It appears to indicate she was at least resisting the door being opened by the ICE agent, and then appeared to turn her wheels away from the ICE agents and try to keep moving. It's unclear whether or not she brushed past an ICE agent who was standing in front of her with his gun drawn. He shot into the car, and she is now dead. In Portland, it was 2 protesters who were shot. Both have had surgery, and both are recovering. Though the government in both cases defended the ICE agents by saying they were under direct threat by a vehicle. That's why they shot. In Portland as well, they said that the folks were potentially linked to a Venezuelan gang, and so we're waiting to get more information on that. But you've probably seen all the videos, I'm assuming, Mindy. I have too. What did you think now that you've seen, because I think we've seen every possible angle of this thing.
Yeah. From
the officer. In fact, we do have some sound on the initial confrontation that led to the shooting. Could we run that?
Yep.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Just so listeners are aware, the woman who was executed was the one saying, "It's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." Right. In the video, she's calm. She's smiling. She's treating this man with nothing but respect and kindness, and he shot her. And this man, Jonathan Ross, has a past of stepping in front of vehicles, and he, in the past, tased another person. And so this accusation of, I felt like I was in danger, doesn't hold a lot of water for me, especially as more and more videos come out showing that he just leapt to using his gun.
Yeah, this is the videos I don't think indicate any level of restraint by the ICE agents. And again, I know that law enforcement sees things in a very different way. Some people in law enforcement probably see this as like maybe it didn't need to escalate to this, because sometimes the escalation is a matter of how far do you push it. I mean, if this person if the wheels are turned away and moving past, and he's not. It's not like some of the rhetoric was slammed in. Like, no, I mean, this car was driving away at, I don't even know, at a measurable.
She's following orders
at a measurable speed. She is clearly, but she is trying to get away from an officer who is trying to open the door. Now, that's again not something where even that officer did not pull a weapon. Mm-hmm. It was the officer who decided to move after she had turned her wheels, stand in front of the car, and she still tried to get around him when the gunfire happened. It doesn't seem to me, from looking at the videos, having looked at a lot of them now, it doesn't seem to me like it needed to get there. Now, I can't speak to what was in the officer's head. I can speak to what was in the officer's hand. And certainly it was a drawn handgun. And I guess if you are in a car and that is pointed at you, probably...
I would panic.
Probably, well, one of two things. I would either panic or I would maybe stop. And I'm not saying that in any way justifies her, because I don't think that there is... It doesn't appear to me, and again, I'm not law enforcement, and so I'm sure people will quibble with this, but it doesn't appear to me that this was necessary. Like, this person was trying to drive away slowly. It wasn't like this wasn't someone who jumped on the gas and the officer dove out of the way and had to return fire. This was something that, like, if you've seen the videos, if you haven't, I suggest you take a look. It feels to me like it's a stretch to say that officer was like in physical threat enough to need to fire into the car.
And she was a legal observer. She had every right to be there.
But I get it. So we're going to see this thing play out over the course of months. What has happened, though, is that I think that these confrontations are not, to use an off-quoted tech term, it is not a bug but a feature. And
they're trained in escalation.
I think that this is, but I think the whole thing is designed to provoke. If you look at the cities that the ICE agents have been dispatched to, and I think that there's probably ICE agents who are not comfortable with this either.
Then be brave, you guys. If you're out there, then be brave and leave. Take a stand.
Yeah.
We're seeing a repeat of World War II.
I see. I guess my point being that because we all know that this is designed to provoke, resisting provocation is probably about your safest pathway here. But if you look at the cities selected, predominantly cities, I think exclusively now cities where the president didn't get the majority of votes, it seems a fairly intentional provocation. Again, I think it's a shame that this is happening, and I don't think that this makes immigration laws. I think they absolutely should be enforced. I mean, I'm a child of immigrants. Like it is not. I don't think that it should be wide, completely open borders. Of course, you need to have a knowable, measurable, and only semi-permeable immigration policy, right? I get all of that, and I agree with that 100%. I do think that this is where it's gone now is gone to a place that is very difficult to walk back from.
Yeah.
And it's really, and for some people, it's permanently not walking back from. And I think that is the great tragedy here is it's undermining confidence in the government, which was already pretty low. It's undermining confidence in protesters, from a law enforcement side, and law enforcement sees this, and in some cases, very differently than I do. And now everyone's like ratcheting up the tension, and when you ratchet up the tension, this is the outcome.
Yeah.
Like on both sides, it's really getting, and it's not. I'm not saying that these are equivalencies. I'm just saying that the tension is so high right now.
Who's feeling safer?
No one.
In what way is this making anyone feel safer?
Anyone, from law enforcement to the protesters, and it's been an enormous shame that this is where we have ended up in Seattle on Aurora Avenue in North Seattle. That's a story on from Fox 13 that Seattle police clarified that a 911 call reporting possible kidnapping near Aurora Avenue was actually tied to federal immigration enforcement activity.
But how is it
SPD
different from kidnapping?
Well, so if they are here illegal, I mean, the only place I can go with this is whether what the agents were doing was legal, right?
But at this point, we have masked men in unmarked vans grabbing people.
The whole mask thing, I think, is one of the more distressing aspects of it because who isn't masked is Seattle police officers. Like they have the same fears of being. They are talking about like getting doxxed or all of this kind. Well, I don't know. They're not, and the idea of putting ICE officers and masking them,
It strikes me as so cowardly.
I think that it is, well, again, I think designed to provoke. I mean, I think that is, like, I didn't like it when protesters were doing it. I didn't like it when, but they have a right to, and they're also not government agents, right? Masking the people that you're paying tax dollars to do enforcement, I think is regardless of how they're handling that enforcement, I think is highly, highly questionable because we should absolutely be able to know what is happening there, be able to get information on what is happening if we are the people paying for it. And I don't like the idea of masked ICE agents going out and arrest. Now, if they are, this is why this was reported as a kidnapping, because a bunch of masked people dragged people into an SUV. And that's what happened. Turns out that these people may be here illegal and it may have been associated with a crime. I'm not sure on all the details there. So I don't have a problem with if some immigration official finds someone who is here illegally and they need to go and they have avoided getting deported. Well, then fine, arrest them, take them, roll them up, send them back to wherever they came from. Don't send them to some sort of third party country. I'm not saying that I love immigration policy, but that is within the framework of the law. And so, okay, I can accept that. I may not like it, but I can accept it. What I don't want to accept is masked people doing it in the manner that they're doing it and who they're actually targeting. It seems like there's nothing about this that feels to me like this is designed to make the country safer. What it's designed to do is make the country more scared.
Well, and see, where I would disagree with you is I don't care if you're here illegally, especially as we watch what's happening in Venezuela, where we create these unstable environments in other countries, and then we're shocked that people flee those countries. And what if we really want to make things better, then make the immigration process easier. I know people in immigration law, I know lawyers who are like, oh man, I don't touch immigration law. It is so confusing. And it's intentionally confusing. And it's just, if we want to make things better, then let's improve the system. But that is not what's happening. It's a system of this current presidential administration wants to enforce fear and cruelty.
So I don't know. I don't necessarily, if we're talking about degrees where we agree. I mean, degrees of enforcement and degrees of legal implementation of immigration standards. And I would argue, I don't mind that you have to have standards at a border about who and how many people get in. I don't actually disagree with that. I think that every country on the planet, liberal or conservative, has some form of immigration. In fact, the Scandinavian countries, who everyone loves to celebrate about, providing free college and providing, medical care for everyone, frequently have some of the tightest immigration laws in existence. I mean, they make it very, very difficult because it's, people would fly for free healthcare. I'd go anywhere, right? I'd be in an apartment anywhere. And so I get that we have it. I'm not saying that I agree with it in its totality, but I understand that that's a necessary structure. What I don't like is when it becomes this. So, for example, one of the most conservative and often lionized presidents in U.S. history, Ronald Reagan, had implemented a program that had two factors. It cranked down on illegal immigration. It also allowed for people who'd been here for a long time illegally and had not committed crimes. It gave them a pathway as a clemency. It essentially allowed them to apply for, not get taken, not get sent away, because there are so many people who do come illegally, to your point, and are contributors. In fact, they're net contributors because they frequently don't engage in government services at all because they're worried about getting caught. So they're actually contributing sales tax by renting cars or renting houses and doing all that kind of stuff, and they cannot draw on Social Security. So they're not going to be a drain in that way. Frequently not visiting the emergency room because they're worried about ID checks and things like that. And so I think that, what he said was a pathway to, there's going to be a pathway to citizenship for some people, and there is going to be a pathway back to their country. And I think that's a fairly reasonable policy. I don't think you can have fully open borders. I don't know if that's ever functioned terribly well in world history, but I do think that you can have a consideration for people who are looking for a better life. And if they meet a certain criteria, yeah. But now we've had this very schizophrenic kind of like this series of changing standards and targeting countries, specific countries for immigration and specific countries not. That seems to
They aren't targeting Canadians.
It seems to sort of end up with Southern Hemisphere getting much more targeted than Northern Hemisphere. And I'll just leave it at that. It feels to me like frequently it's along as much on racial and poverty lines as it is on actual immigration policy lines. And that's the kind of stuff that to me is really distressing. Having a parent that was born in Nicaragua and grew up in Panama and went through the process and came here legally, got married down there. When getting married actually did get you citizenship, it doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's a much steeper road than it was.
I think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It absolutely does not anymore. Or people would be selling it all the time as they did before. Now, it turned out my dad and mom my dad fell in love with my mom down in Panama. They got married. They came back. But I don't think that what I'm trying to do is find a rational look at, I understand a little bit about immigration law, and I've had to deal a little bit with immigration law, and I wrote for a law journal for a long time and spent some time covering it. So I've got a rudimentary knowledge, but I'm not an expert, and I'm certainly not an attorney. I don't mind a structured form of immigration that presumes that some people, not everyone gets access. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is when the standards change radically.
Yeah.
And what I'm not fine with is when you're starting to change stuff that feels to me punitive and not about immigration policy. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stuff that when I get personally concerned.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And just looking at the speeches Stephen Miller gives, it just feels like they enjoy the fear of it. And I I know that I'm watching the text line pop off. I know that this is made into a left and right issue, and it's so frustrating to me because to me it feels just un-American. What we witnessed was un-American. It should chafe against everything we hold to be patriotic to see someone executed in the streets. She was a suburban soccer mom. She was in the car with her dog. If you look at this video, there's just all these cute little bumper stickers over the SUV. We should all just stand up. This cannot stand.
Yeah, this story isn't going away, folks, anytime soon, because I would imagine that with the midterm elections coming up, with this much attention being paid on it, we're certainly going to find out whether or not this is seen broadly the way some people see it as, a travesty and other people see it as a necessary evil. I don't think anyone celebrates the death of a person. I think some people, though, feel like, hey, you got in the way of this thing. You stood up, maybe you got what you deserved. I'm sure there's people out there who feel like that. However, it's a shame to even be talking about it, honestly.
It really
is a shame to even be talking about it.
That's exactly how I felt. When the video came out, that's exactly how I felt, where it was just this felt so inevitable, too, that we were building towards this.
I completely agree. All right. Let's get on to something that is more, consistent here, which is heavy traffic at the 5:30 hour. Nate Connors, what do you got for us?
Well, let's start with what isn't so packed, and that's the good news. So north of Seattle and Bellevue, we're looking good. In fact, Seattle to Everett is just a half hour, pretty much all clear. Bellevue to Everett, 40 minutes with just minimal crowding between Kirkland and Canyon Park to get through. Now, South 5 into Seattle still, bumper to bumper from 85th to the Convention Center. Linwood to Seattle is going to take you 35 minutes. Both of our lake bridges are wide open. North 5, heavy, approaching the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. South 405 is slow from 520 all the way down to the Renton Landing. Gets pretty thick all the way through Factoria. Bellevue to Renton's at 35 minutes. Seattle to Federal Way is a 40-minute drive. Westbound 18, it's packed from the Valley Freeway all the way over to I-5. The only thing I can see that's causing this is a little bit of a backup on southbound I-5 at the 18 interchange. Southbound 167 remains packed from 180th to South 277th. So Renton to Auburn, you've got a 20-minute delay taking 35 minutes. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
After voters made it clear they want change,
that I will faithfully conduct myself as the mayor of the city of Seattle.
What should Seattle residents expect from Mayor Katie Wilson?
She talked a lot about our affordability crisis.
Northwest News voices you depend on.
It's a misdiagnosis of the problem. You believe government can solve this problem.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. The KIRO News Radio app with opinion and analysis at mynorthwest.com.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off, and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not-so-wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho. And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company. Pure Talk.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through January 25th. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home. Thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education, and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Veterans, the new year's a good time to re-examine finances. If you're struggling with bills, VA loan expert Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage says he may have a solution.
Many veterans are sitting on a lot of home equity, and even with a low mortgage rate, your total monthly payments may be a struggle. The good news is with today's lower VA loan rates, you can do a VA cash-out refinance and pay off your high-interest rate debt and roll everything into one low monthly payment. For example, one VA client saved more than $1,200 per month. And remember, with a VA loan, you can buy a home with no money down.
And you always talk to a real person, not an AI robot.
That's right. Whether you're a veteran or seeking a conventional loan, you'll talk directly to me or an experienced senior advisor, never an AI bot.
Honest advice you can trust. From Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage. 425-649-6000.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM. Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening. I'm Aaron Granillo. The Portland police chief today confirmed those two people shot by federal agents in the city have ties to a Venezuelan gang. Chief Bob Day says they're affiliated with Tren de Aragua.
They do have some nexus to involvement with TDA. We can confirm that.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey reports from Portland.
Homeland Security now says Luis Moncada and Yorlenes Zambrano Contreras tried to run over agents. One witness described hearing 5 gunshots. The Oregon Department of Justice says they have opened their own investigation and will prosecute if they find any agent used force beyond the reasonable scope of their duty. In Portland, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Police say those two suspects are in federal custody, now recovering from their injuries. To Minneapolis now, where newly released cell phone video from an ICE agent shows the moments before that officer shot and killed a woman in her vehicle. CBS's Ashar Karashi reports.
It just goes to the heart of the issue here, which is that people are looking at these videos and how much space there was here and whether or not she was impeding these officers from taking care of the work that they needed to do, and whether or not they were justified in the use of force that was used.
Jurors are now deliberating whether Seattle's liable for a teen's death during the 2020 CHOP protests. The Seattle Times reports the case went to the jury yesterday. Antonio Mays Jr. was 16 when he was shot at the Capitol Hill protest zone. His killing remains unsolved. Microsoft is now dismissing rumors of mass layoffs. KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery explains.
Several aggregator websites reported talks of plans to cut up to 22,000 jobs in January. But longtime spokesperson Frank Shaw posted on X, quote, 100% made up. The Seattle Times tracked the rumors to online forums like Reddit and Blind, which is a site where tech workers can post anonymously. There has been a lot of anxiety in the tech sector, which saw waves of layoffs last year. Historically, Microsoft has confirmed layoffs shortly after the rumor mill starts to churn. This time, it's a flat denial. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Let's get you home this Friday night from the real-time traffic desk. We go to Nate Connors.
All right, Aaron, Seattle Sports has the update. You'll want to avoid this section of South Center. An investigation has closed Aurelia Road at South 200th, closed for an investigation for the next at least 4 to 5 hours. South 5 heading into Seattle still heavy. About Lake City Way to Convention Center. Linwood to Seattle will take you right around a half hour. North 5 is heavy approaching the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. By the time you hit the Convention Center, you're going to break free. South 405, you're slow from 520 all the way to the Renton Landing. After you get through Factoria, it starts to break up for you. Bellevue to Renton, 35 minutes. Seattle to Federal Way is still a 40-minute drive. Westbound 18, we're bumper to bumper from the Valley Freeway over to I-5. Southbound 167, still real heavy from 180th into South 277th in Kent. Renton to Auburn is going to take you 35 minutes, and it's also 35 minutes now between Tacoma and Olympia. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial on 97.3 HD2. KIRO News Radio real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Dry to start tomorrow. Some rain showers move later on in the day. Rainy and breezy at times Sunday into Monday. Right now, 50 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. This hour is brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs. Mike Lewis, Mandy Bossard here. And we're going to lighten up a little bit. I was thinking during the break that there's probably times when, because John is out, when he comes back and it's sort of like coming back from a vacation and kids had broken into your house and there's like beer cans around and like a bong and things like that's what you find. I always feel like the
lefties are here.
He comes back in the studio and feels kind of grim about the whole vibe in the place, and he has to sort of like put it in an air filter and clean it all out so he can actually get
He's
back
focusing on healing.
Exactly.
Whatever the opposite of sage
John,
is,
if you are listening, I extend my sincere apologies. All right, so
a lighter mood,
and a very much lighter mood, because this is weirdly enough a subject that I've ended up talking about a lot on air because I find it interesting, and these were stories that you had suggested, some ideas that we talk about, and one of the stories is entitled "How to Turn Casual Friends into Close Friends," which is interesting, and I have a couple questions for you about that, but all of these things sort of fit into this umbrella of this idea that there's a epidemic of adult loneliness.
Yeah.
And I don't know that all of the stories about that necessarily are well researched. I think that there are some, but you do sort of see it in places.
We talked about the value of college, making friends.
Totally. I mean, so the funny thing is there's like been 2 really great studies about how adults make friends. Really, then one was a big one. It's so interesting. It was a big one in the when soldiers were returning from World War II and didn't have specific places to go. There was a whole former university in New York State that was opened up all the dormitories, and many of them moved in, and how many of these people maintained their friendships over and they followed a bunch of these people for like a generation to see, so did those friendships stick? And it turns out that adults make friends kind of the way you do as a kid. It's not issue and interest based. It's repetition based. That's why you make more friends at work, and that's why maybe remote work does have its downsides. That's how you sort of like you're around them people all the time, and you find out that it's not it's having some sort of like chemistry between you, even if you don't really share the same political views or you don't really share the same like hobbies and interests like that. You can still become good friends. Now, what about your ideas about how do you turn a casual friend into a close friend?
Well, just going off of that, I just want to say I think it's why dating app culture is so hard, because like you meet somebody,
you're front loading it with the pressure.
You show up and it's like, do we like each other?
Right.
We're like, you're in college classes, you meet, you hang out, and then gradually it's like, wait, I think I have a crush on this person.
You can spend a lot more time window shopping.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I loved this story. So I was in LA for a decade, so obviously I had to make friends when I moved for college, and then moving back, I was really just around my parents and my sister a lot.
Right.
I was like, how do you make friends? And the people I was working with were a few years younger than me. Not like you can't be friends with people younger, but making friends was so hard, and feeling that leap into, I've talked to some people about when you're making friends and you can feel ahead of you how much space you have to gain to like have that intimacy that you have with a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do all of that stuff. But I thought that this was so beautiful. This guy went through his phone and he looked for people who really made him feel warm, and people who made him feel warm in a way that almost made him feel nervous, where it's like, I feel nervous reaching out to this person. I feel so good around them. And he put a little strawberry emoji next to them in his phone. And it told him to prioritize them. And this article just touches on how often we don't reach out to people, and then we feel, well, the other article I had pinned too, then we feel like bummed and left out, and really we aren't making the effort.
I think that that's 100% true.
Well, and I loved it, especially, at the very top of the show, we touched on the winter blues and how gray this time of year is. And I think as Seattleites, we become hermits and we're at home. And then we're like stewing in it. Where it's like, nobody reaches out to me. It's like, when's the last time you sent a text?
Right. And I do one thing I'm pretty good on one habit in that regard, is I try to always send, and this is the funny thing is, like, it's extremely you have to be extremely intentional about this. It doesn't just happen. And a couple of things. One, I always, if I get together with a friend, particularly friends I haven't seen in a while, but almost always anyway, even friends I see all the time, I usually, if we get together and, I don't know, have dinner somewhere or do something, or get together, watch a game, or maybe have a beer, I always send a note afterwards. I always send back, like that same evening, I always say, that was great. I had a good time. And it does two things. It sort of, people, I think, like getting that note.
Yeah.
And I think I do when it happens. It's nice to know that there was an echo on the evening that person is still acknowledging. The second thing that it does is it moves them higher into your text thread. So they are now sort of sitting at the top. Maybe you do it before you go to bed. They're sitting at the top of that thread, not somewhere deep. And it's easier to remember, like, oh, I need to get back in touch with this person. Like, so it keeps them a little more current in your, because you know the way it is. Like, sometimes you'll spend looking for a photo or looking for a text. You'll spend half an hour trying to find them some more distant, in your, looking for a keyword that actually will call the thing up. For me, it's a nice way to sort of remind. It's not. I'm happy it makes other people feel good, but it also reminds me that it's sort of like the strawberry thing. I really like that idea, but it reminds me that, hey, wait a minute, this is someone worth continually getting in touch with.
Well, do you know what you're doing, and you might not even realize it? You're catching people in that like post hangout anxiety where they're like, did that go well?
Yeah.
And you're.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about it that way.
You're cutting it off where it's like, oh yeah, Mike had a great time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, it's like you have that like cloud settle over your head where you get in your car and then suddenly it's quiet and you're like, why did I say that?
Yeah, I mean, but so you have, those are good questions, because I have that same sort of, I repeat every conversation. I repeat radio shows in my head. Like, I always wonder, did I say the right thing? And I think I give myself a little less grief when I do that. It's funny that you say that, because I didn't really think about it in those terms, but the terms I did think about it in is just to remind somebody that, like, I appreciate your company. Like, there are a whole bunch of people. There's most of the people who I really dig, I do not see enough. Mm-hmm. That's just the simple truth. Like, very few people do I feel like I see enough, but there's only so many hours, and I do have to work and I have to do other things that are not anywhere near as much fun. But it's nice to get that little, like, to let someone know that their company mattered, and I think that is a nice way to let people feel like, hey, it's worth going out and hanging out. And even when the evening isn't perfect, I still send a nice note. I mean, like, my standards are not necessarily through the roof. I like hanging out with people. Obviously, I can yap incessantly, and in doing it to myself just bums me out. So I just need I need someone to direct it at.
Well, and then this other Vox article, People Aren't As Bad As You Think, was so sweet, from Hannah Seo, where she talks about that we are so quick to assume that people are thinking the worst of us. And it's generally not true. They've done studies on it, that where we think, oh, people really think that I said something stupid, or they really hate that I do that, people generally find us likable, and way more likable than we find ourselves.
I think that this story so hit on something that I think about all the time. I had to, let's just go to one, and we're going to be talking to Nate in a little while about traffic, but I think about traffic, and I think about looking at, here we go, and I think about not ever assuming intent. Like if someone cuts you off, like it's very easy to get angry, and maybe I get a little bit tighter than most because frequently I'm on a motorcycle, where their judgment can be fatal to me.
Yeah.
Not to them, but certainly to me. So you do get a little bit angry, but I also realize like most of the time when people do stuff, they're not actually thinking, hey, that guy's life is worth less than mine. They're just not being careful, but they're not necessarily intending on something. And if you just drop the assumption of intent in all kinds of those situations, confrontational systems, not necessarily only in traffic, I think that when you could pull out the intent, it sort of calms you down and you start realizing that, like, hey, that was a mistake, but I don't need to, like, have sort of like violent fantasies about this person.
That's such a good one, especially with the motorcycle. About a year ago, my partner was hit while on his Vespa. A woman really hit him. He had terrible road rash. And man, driving to pick him up, it was so easy to just be fuming at this woman.
I would have been.
And then when I got there, she was sobbing. It was like, okay, we've all done a move in traffic where we got away with it.
Right.
And she just happened to have the very worst, not the very worst, he was okay.
Right.
But exactly, giving yourself that space to be like, it was a horrific accident.
Well, and those sort of things happen less, oddly enough, when traffic is completely backed up and not moving anywhere, and happens more when you can actually get around town. So what are we looking at right now, Nate Connors?
Hey, you know what? It's looking pretty dang good out there, actually, especially for this time of night. Seattle Sports has the update. I do want to start off, though. We do have this ongoing closure of Aurelia Road at South 200th for an investigation. It's going to be closed for at least another 4 hours. Outside of that, we're thinning out everywhere across the map. South 5 still slow, though, from about Lake City Way to the Convention Center. Linwood to Seattle, a half-hour drive. North 5 approaching the West Seattle Bridge. We do have a new stall in your right lane. Seattle to Everett, pretty much all clear right now, except for a little backup north of the Linwood interchange. Northbound 405 is still a little crowded between Kirkland and Canyon Park. Bellevue to Everett, 35 minutes. South 405 in the south end slows from 520 to the Renton Landing. Pretty thick until you get through Factoria. Bellevue to Renton still at 35 minutes. Westbound 18 is still solid between 167 and I-5. And southbound 167 is thinning out, but still pretty heavy between South 212th and 277th. Renton to Auburn is improved to 25 minutes. Download the Seattle Sports app to stay in the know with the latest news, scores, and opinions about your favorite teams. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Seattle voters wanted change.
I campaigned on affordability, on homelessness, on taxing the rich.
Can Mayor Wilson live up to the promises of candidate Wilson?
The self-proclaimed progressive socialist
managing high expectations. Trusted Northwest News voices you depend on.
More government programs, which means more tax dollars.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And the KIRO News Radio app.
Are your investment dollars working as hard as they should be? You've spent years building your future. Don't let outdated advice put it at risk. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. We're a veteran-owned firm proud to bring a new standard of financial care to the Seattle area. Our nationally recognized advisors are fiduciaries, ethically bound to put your interests first. That's the highest standard of care in the industry. As a privately held company, we answer to you, our valued clients, not shareholders. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a customized plan. From Bellevue to Tacoma, get advice you can count on. It's time to take a fresh look at your financial plan. Call Trajan Wealth, 206-656-3300. That's 206-656-3300. Trajan Wealth. Plan smarter, dream bigger.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
More than 4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients, and you can help us make a difference. Join us for Cork, Fork, and Support, an afternoon of wine tasting and inspiration on January 31st at Mary Hill Winery in Woodinville's Wine Country. Get your tickets now for Cork, Fork, and Support. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through January 25th. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
Boy, am I glad to be done with my holiday shopping.
Oh, I know.
And now I just want to relax.
Me too. Well, except there's one more store we should check out.
Oh, no way.
Because this week, we can get a Samsung, LG, or Sony TV at an incredible price.
Really? Where?
At Video Only's year-end clearance sale. They're really cutting deals.
Because the holidays are over?
Yep. So this is our chance to get what we wanted for Christmas.
Are the prices really that good?
Yes. For 7 days they are. And Video Only has those top-rated models we were thinking about all on sale.
All right. The best stuff cheap is worth a trip.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
Around here, rain isn't a surprise. While others run for cover, Seahawks fans step into the storm, game day ready. And the Pro Shop is how.
Ball picked up, Witherspoon comes near side, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Seahawks!
Every game, any weather. We got that. Shop official Seahawks gear in-store at Lumen Field and The Landing in Renton. Or online at Seahawks.com/Pro Shop.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
Guys, feeling low energy or low drive? It could be low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health, start with a free T-check and consultation. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off TRT. Book now at ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
The John Curley Show mailbag is brought to you by Advanced Hair Restoration.
Welcome back. We were having the text segment anxiety discussion, because that sometimes happens around now, but it doesn't happen until we hear a certain special something.
I'm a meow. I'm a meow. Don't be mess with me. I'm a meow. Everything no. I'm a meow. Bring the mail to you.
This was done. So is this kid is now in college, right?
I think so. Yeah,
it's been this has been going on for a while. All right.
Too long.
Does he get rights to his likeness?
That's a very good question. All right. So why don't you get us kicked off?
Okay, so off topic. Mike in Portland says, was John's facelift botched? I'm beginning to worry about his well-being.
On college football and name, image, likeness 206. So I guess it's to totally stop pretending these kids are going to college for an education. You know, if they don't go to the NFL, how are they amateur athletes, and how are big-time colleges not just the NFL minor leagues? They've been the NFL minor leagues. There's a rumor, that for many years now.
Galen in 425 says, hey guys, part of Desmond coming back is his manager quit, and that could have cost him everything. Plus the cost of taking on the lawyers would have destroyed him.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
From 206, the mid-majors are the schools that get screwed. Also, in the old days, players could get insurance policies against injuries. That is also true.
In terms of trades, Chris, the Seattle plumber, says, as a commercial plumber on a local 32, I will say that the pay is great. Unless you work for the city of Seattle or King County, then the pay is not so good.
From 253, appliance repair, steady work. I've done this for 42 years. Ready to retire, no shortage of work. I didn't even know anyone fixed appliances anymore. It just seems like people just throw them away, and it's glad to hear that somebody's out there fixing them.
Oh, and I get to reread this one. Brent in Tacoma, I'm a plumber, and until they invent wireless water, I'll always have a job. I started when I was 12 and love it. That's so good, Brent.
12. And he's only 14 now. The iPhone turns 19 years old. Brian in Bellevue, probably one of the worst things we ever did to ourselves. Brian, I don't disagree.
Dan in Stanwood, I did really like the Windows phone, but it never took off.
You were the person. Did you also have a Zune? Allie in Lake Stevens said, I miss my BlackBerry Pearl with the QWERTY keyboard. I miss mine too.
Yeah, I miss mine. Old man John, just put your phone on KIRO and stick it in your pocket. No need to check the time. Hands-free, gets work done, 0 screen time.
On ice, Benny, the tugboat expert, says, then he called her an effing bitch after murdering her.
Jeff in Issaquah, is there any good reason to run when being told to stop? Well, we would disagree, Jeff.
Nick in Everett, I have to speak out and say that I personally do feel safer. I just felt this conversation right now is definitely one-sided. I don't condone the actions of a shooting. I think it's completely wrong, though.
Flood in Olympia. It's super sad, and I wish it didn't happen. She hit him with the car, and she was absolutely not following orders. If she was following orders, she wouldn't have been shot. I wish he didn't, but she didn't follow orders at all. It doesn't justify it, though. I don't think it was that level of threat. Well, videos say otherwise.
That's fairly sad. The 360 said there's a great debate to be had about the legitimacy of a shooting and everything, but you keep saying things that are factually not true, like she had every legal right to be there when she blocked traffic. It was preventing people from doing their job.
G and Puyallup.
It is time for the letter of the day.
So with the letter of the day, we've got Jordan in West Seattle. I love John Curley. I hope he's feeling better, but I really enjoyed the facelift fill-in shows this week. It's nice to get some different perspectives from time to time. Mandy seems really genuine. Her voice is refreshing, and Mike always makes me feel dumb. But I learn something every time. I make me feel dumb, too. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so
very
much, Jordan.
That's
all
she wrote.
That's all she wrote.
Didn't write no more.
Didn't write no more.
She left the gloom hanging round my
Another time, Nate.
Here I am.
How are we doing at this point?
We're doing good. I'm just going to leave it at that. Nothing crazy happening out there. We do have a couple new issues that popped up. This report brought to you by the Emerald Queen Casino. Eastbound 512 heading into Puyallup Canyon Road. A new collision blocks your left lane. You're backed up to Portland Avenue. In Tumwater, South 5 at 93rd. That's south of Trosper Road. A crash is in your right lane. You're almost backed up to Trosper, actually. We cleared our stall. North 5 approaching the West Seattle Bridge, but it's packed from there into downtown. South 5 still heavy from about 80th to the Convention Center. So Linwood to Seattle, you're still hanging on at about a 30 to 35-minute drive. South 405 is packed at Northeast 8th and Bellevue past Cold Creek Parkway. Bellevue to Renton, though, is down to 25 minutes. Westbound 18 remains heavy from the Valley Freeway over to I-5. And southbound 167, pretty slow still between South 212th and 277 through Kent. Renton to Auburn will take you right around 25 minutes. KIRO Newsradio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This is your city.
Seattle voters have spoken, and they wanted change.
Wilson really resonated, especially with some younger voters.
On the terms of working people, make it work for them.
Katie Wilson is just actually not afraid to say she's a socialist.
What challenges does the political newcomer face once taking office?
Never having any managerial experience.
Stay with KIRO Newsradio and MyNorthwest.com for the latest.
Change takes time, and we don't give it time.
And the KIRO Newsradio app.
I got to tell you something, Nick. I have really noticed a difference in your energy level since you started going to the Longevity Medical Clinic.
And you know why?
Why?
Because they actually balanced my hormone levels. And when they do that, the largest change I noticed was that now I could sleep.
And then not only get more sleep, you just get more energy, right?
Right. So that all of a sudden that resulted in me, I started running again and doing all these things that I felt so fatigued throughout the day that I couldn't do anymore.
Okay, so at this point, do you want to apologize to me? Because I was always saying to you, every time you say, I don't sleep, I don't feel well, I feel kind of off, I go, well, you need to get in touch with Longevity Medical Clinic. And you're always like, blah, 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 blah.
I know. But now it's turned into something fun that we get to go in together.
So I need to hear, you were right.
You were right.
You were right. I should have gone to Longevity Medical Clinic.
I should have.
There we go. Fine.
Yes.
You know the right thing to do. Get in touch with Longevity Medical Clinic. Take the free health analysis at lmclinic.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free delivery. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Your local volunteer fire department routinely answers the call, whether it be a fire, traffic accident, or a cat stuck in a tree. But because of declines in memberships, departments have become understaffed. Your local volunteer fire department desperately needs you. Can you direct traffic, install a smoke alarm, help at a fundraiser? No matter what skills you have, you can make a difference. You don't have to fight fire to be a volunteer. Will you answer the call? For more information on how you can help, visit the Volunteer Firefighter Alliance at supportvfa.org.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home. Thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education, and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Logan Fury did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he bought a mini treadmill. Is walking on it during video conference calls more distracting than he thought? Yes. And is that because he overestimated his foot-eye coordination? Definitely. But it's Logan's savings, and if he wants to burn calories and any chance at a promotion, we say, good for you, Logan. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News.